When you think of a leader, what comes to mind? Is it the person who commands attention without needing to shout? The one who speaks with confidence and calm, always knowing exactly what to say and when? If you want to be that kind of leader, someone who inspires respect with every word, the way you communicate plays a huge role. In this video, we're going to break down the art of speaking like a leader. You'll learn how to express yourself clearly and confidently in any situation. Whether you're in a meeting, leading a team, or just having a conversation, the way you speak can make all the difference. It's not about using big words or speaking louder. It's about speaking with intention, authority, and poise. If you've ever felt like your voice isn't being heard, or that your message isn't landing the way you want, you're not alone. But don't worry, this video will give you the tools to change that. We'll talk about practical strategies that you can start using right away to communicate like a leader. And the best part, you don't need any fancy skills or experience to start. You just need the right mindset and the willingness to improve. By the end of this audiobook, you'll know how to talk with the kind of presence that naturally draws people in, and you'll feel more confident in your ability to lead through your words. This isn't just about sounding smart. It's about showing up, owning your space, and inspiring others to follow your lead. So stick around, because the first step toward talking like a leader starts right now. Chapter 1. Speak with calm conviction that commands deep attention instantly. Most people speak to be heard, but leaders speak to be felt. There's a difference. When a real leader opens their mouth, the room changes. People stop what they're doing. They tune in. They want to hear what's next. Not because the leader is loud or dramatic, but because their words carry calm conviction. You feel that they've thought about what they're saying. You sense that they mean every word, and that sense, calm, grounded, and powerful, is what makes their presence unforgettable. The truth is, you don't need to raise your voice to command attention. You don't need to dominate conversations or speak quickly to prove you know what you're talking about. You don't need to impress people with fancy words or clever phrases. What you need is calm conviction. You need the ability to stand on what you believe, deliver your message with clarity, and remain grounded, no matter who's in front of you. Conviction is not aggression. Conviction is not arrogance. Conviction is quiet inner certainty. It comes from knowing your values. It comes from practicing your message, refining your thoughts, and becoming comfortable with silence. And it comes from letting go of the fear of judgment. Because when you know you're rooted in truth, you don't flinch, you don't panic. You speak from a place of strength that doesn't need validation. If you want people to listen to you as a leader, you need to learn how to stay composed when others get emotional. You need to stay focused when others get distracted. And most importantly, you need to make your words land, not by force but by clarity and calm. That's how you earn attention. That's how you make your presence felt without shouting. Most people react. They speak fast. They interrupt. They try to win. But a leader responds. A leader takes a breath, speaks slowly, and chooses their words with care. It's not about controlling the conversation. It's about leading it through stillness and precision. The first step to speaking with calm conviction is to master your breathing. Before you say anything important, notice your breath. If it's shallow, you'll sound anxious. If it's steady, you'll sound in control. Your breath anchors your voice. It calms your nervous system. It slows your pace. It centers your mind. And that calmness communicates far more than any sentence you could ever say. The second step is to know what you stand for. A leader doesn't talk just to fill silence. They speak because they have something worth saying. That doesn't mean you need to be perfect or have all the answers. It means you've done enough thinking to trust your own judgment. You've taken the time to understand your beliefs, your principles and your message, and because of that, when you speak, people know you mean it. Most people speak in ways that reflect insecurity. They rush, they over-explain. They soften their words with "I think," "maybe" or "just." They hide their message behind vague statements and empty enthusiasm. A leader doesn't do that. A leader speaks plainly, directly, and with full responsibility. They don't try to be liked. They try to be useful, and that usefulness creates respect. One of the most powerful habits you can build is speaking slowly, not so slow that you sound robotic, but slow enough that every word feels deliberate, slow enough that people can absorb what you're saying, slow enough that you have time to think as you speak. Speed kills clarity. Speed kills presence. When you slow down, you regain control. You allow the weight of your message to settle. Another critical aspect of calm conviction is comfort with silence. Most people fear silence. They rush to fill gaps in conversation. They think silence means they're losing attention. But a leader knows that silence is a tool. Pausing before you speak makes people lean in. Pausing after a strong statement gives it room to breathe. Silence shows you're not desperate for attention. You already have it. Think about the greatest communicators in history. They didn't rush. They didn't ramble. They spoke with pacing, rhythm, and clarity. They used silence as emphasis. They let their words land, and because of that, people didn't just hear them, they remembered them. To talk like a leader, you need to stop performing, stop pretending, stop trying to impress. Just speak honestly and clearly. Speak from your values. Speak with presence. Speak with care. And speak only when you have something meaningful to say. That doesn't mean staying quiet all the time. It means you raise your standards for what's worth saying. You don't talk to fill space. You talk to make an impact. And when you do speak, you give your full attention. You don't check your phone. You don't glance around the room. You make the moment count. Conviction is also felt in your body. Your posture speaks before your mouth does. Stand tall, relax your shoulders, keep your chin level, make your body reflect calm authority. People trust your words more when your presence matches them. If your words are strong but your posture is weak, they cancel each other out. But if your presence is steady and your words are clear, you create instant credibility. To develop calm conviction, practice speaking when you're uncomfortable. Speak up in small moments when it would be easier to stay quiet. Share your thoughts in meetings. Have that honest conversation you've been avoiding. Stand your ground respectfully when someone challenges your ideas. Every time you do, you get stronger. You learn to stay composed. You train your nervous system to handle pressure. And over time your presence becomes unshakable. The goal isn't to become a flawless speaker. The goal is to become a reliable one. Someone others can count on to bring clarity and direction. Someone who doesn't waste words. Someone who doesn't flinch in tough moments. And someone whose words carry weight because they come from deep thought and real values. If you want to be a leader, stop trying to speak like everyone else. Stop copying the loudest voice in the room. Speak like yourself, your best self, the version of you that isn't trying to be liked, but trying to lead with purpose. The version of you that knows the message is more important than the ego. The version of you that wants to serve, not just be seen. Leadership begins with self-leadership. If you can't lead your own mind, you won't lead others well. If you speak from anxiety, your message will get lost. But if you speak from grounded presence, even simple words carry massive influence. So how do you practice this daily? First, slow down your daily communication. Don't rush your answers. Pause before speaking. Think before you reply. This helps you stay composed under pressure. Second, remove weak language. Cut out fillers like just, maybe, I think, sort of. Replace them with clear, direct statements. This helps you sound more certain without being aggressive. Third, focus on one message at a time. Don't overwhelm people with too many ideas. Choose the one message that matters most and deliver it clearly. Fourth, ask yourself before speaking, is this useful? Is this clear? Is this true? If the answer is no, stay silent. If the answer is yes, speak it with full conviction. Fifth, record yourself speaking. Listen to your tone, your pace, your clarity. Notice how your message comes across. Then refine it, rehearse, improve. This builds awareness and intentionality. Sixth, start your day with intention. Before entering a meeting or conversation, ask yourself, who do I want to be in this interaction? Set the tone from within. Don't wait for the world to shape your energy. And finally, read and reflect daily. Read books that sharpen your thinking. Reflect on your communication each evening. What worked? What didn't? What can you improve tomorrow? The goal is steady, daily progress, not perfection. Over time, your voice will become a source of direction for others. Your words will create focus. Your presence will calm the room. And your leadership will be felt, not because you force it, but because you've earned it. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs voices that bring calm to the chaos. Voices that carry wisdom instead of noise. Voices that move people instead of pleasing them. Speak with calm conviction, and you become one of those voices. You'll find that you don't have to fight for respect anymore. You don't have to raise your voice to be heard. You don't have to explain yourself over and over. You'll speak once, and it will be enough. That's the power of calm conviction. It doesn't just change how you communicate. It changes how people experience you. And when people feel your presence, they follow your lead, because true leadership isn't loud. It's clear, it's calm, it's convicted, and it starts with the way you speak, every single day. Chapter 2. Master your tone to influence people without force. Your tone can open doors that words alone never could. It's not just what you say that influences people, it's how you say it. In the moments that truly matter, it's your tone that will determine whether someone feels understood or dismissed, inspired or discouraged, respected or manipulated. The difference between leading with presence and coming across as controlling is tone. The difference between influence and force is tone. You could have the right message, the right facts, even the right intention, but if your tone is wrong, you lose the moment. People don't just listen with their ears, they listen with their emotions. They feel your energy. They pick up on your emotional state. They can sense your confidence or your insecurity, your calm or your frustration, your respect or your need for control. Your tone is your emotional fingerprint. It tells people what you really believe. And if there's any gap between your words and your tone, people will believe your tone every single time. The most powerful leaders don't bark commands or raise their voices. They influence through the emotional power of controlled tone. They speak with quiet strength. They express certainty without sounding arrogant. They convey empathy without sounding soft. They create urgency without panic. That's the mark of someone who has mastered themselves. Because controlling your tone isn't about manipulation, it's about alignment. It's about making sure your message and your emotional delivery are working together, not against each other. You can't fake tone. You can't mask anxiety with fake confidence. You can't hide condescension behind polite words. You can't pretend to care when your tone shows you're irritated. That's why mastering your tone requires more than technique. It requires inner work. You have to build emotional clarity. You have to be honest with yourself about what you're really feeling. You have to learn to regulate yourself before you try to lead others. That means when you speak, your tone must reflect your values. If you believe in respect, speak respectfully. If you believe in clarity, speak with crispness. If you believe in patience, let your tone reflect composure. That emotional consistency is what builds trust. Because over time, people stop analyzing your words, they feel your presence. They come to know what to expect from you. And in leadership, that consistency is everything. Your tone is the bridge between your intention and someone else's perception. If your intention is to encourage, but your tone is sharp, you create resistance. If your intention is to lead, but your tone is controlling, you create defensiveness. If your intention is to correct, but your tone is sarcastic, you shut people down. And the worst part, you won't always realize you're doing it. Because in your head, your intention feels clear. But the world doesn't hear your thoughts. It hears your tone. To become someone who influences without force, you have to start paying deep attention to how your voice lands. Not just what you said, but how you made people feel when you said it. Start observing people's reactions. When do they lean in? When do they pull back? When do they get defensive, even though you were just being honest? That's your mirror. That's your feedback. And if you're serious about influence, you'll use that feedback to refine your delivery. Start practicing presence before you speak. Slow your internal state. Set your tone with intention. If you want to inspire, let your voice carry calm energy. If you want to challenge someone, do it with clarity, not condescension. If you want to correct someone, do it with sincerity, not sarcasm. That's how you deliver truth, without pushing people away. Remember, this tone either opens the mind or shuts it down. The moment your tone triggers someone's defense mechanisms, your message is lost. No matter how right you are, no matter how important the point is, once someone feels attacked, they stop listening. They're no longer hearing you to understand. They're preparing to defend themselves. That's why influence requires discipline. You have to care more about being effective than being right. Think about the people you admire most. Chances are, they have a way of making you feel seen. They speak to you, not at you. They don't overpower you with their volume. They lead you with their calm. They hold your attention not by pushing harder, but by making you feel safe, understood and valued. That's what real influence feels like. It's not loud, it's deep. To develop that kind of tone, you need to detach from ego. You can't let your need to be right hijack your voice. You can't let your emotions speak for you, and you can't afford to treat people like obstacles to be moved. Every time you speak, you have a chance to either raise someone or diminish them. You have the chance to lead, not by control but by connection. When you walk into a conversation with calm energy, people feel it before you say a word. And when you open your mouth with grounded tone, they lower their guard. They start to trust. They start to listen. Not because you forced them, but because your tone said, "This is safe. I see you. I respect you. Let's grow together." That's influence without force. And it's only possible when you've done the internal work to master your emotions, clarify your values, and speak from a centered place. This isn't about acting calm. It's about being calm. It's about building such inner alignment that your tone carries peace, purpose, and certainty, no matter the chaos around you. This also means you must stop mirroring negative energy. Just because someone speaks to you in frustration doesn't mean you return the same tone. Just because someone's insecure doesn't mean you raise your voice to dominate. A leader sets the emotional tone of the conversation. A leader chooses calm when others bring chaos. A leader chooses grace when others bring attitude. A leader uses tone as a tool for transformation. You have to train this daily, in every phone call, in every meeting, in every casual conversation. Pay attention to your voice. Pay attention to your emotional state. Notice when your tone starts to tighten. Catch yourself before you snap. Breathe. Reset. Speak from your highest self, not your emotional reaction. One of the greatest habits you can build is reading your message aloud before delivering it, especially in moments of conflict. Notice your voice. Does it sound rushed? Does it carry hidden tension? Are your words calm, but your tone passive-aggressive? If so, pause. Rewrite. Re-record. Tone reveals everything you hide in words. Another key to tone mastery is learning to speak with emotional range. Don't flatten your tone. Don't speak like a robot trying to sound calm. Learn how to add depth to your voice. Use inflection to show sincerity. Use softness to show care. Use firmness to show boundaries. Let your tone reflect real centered emotion, not suppression. Practice this in front of a mirror. Record yourself. Practice speaking to a friend. Observe your default patterns. Do you sound rushed when nervous? Do you get louder when challenged? Do you go passive when people push back? Map your emotional habits and start rewiring them intentionally. This is also about authenticity. Influence without force is never fake. It's not about pretending to be calm while boiling inside. It's about doing the inner work to speak with genuine steadiness. That means learning to regulate your stress, process your anger, and stay present when you feel misunderstood. If you can't stay centered under pressure, your tone will always betray your message. Learn to pause when emotions rise. Let the moment settle before you speak. Remind yourself what matters, not winning the argument, but preserving the relationship. Not sounding powerful, but being effective. That's leadership. That's what changes lives. When you reach this level of communication, you no longer have to chase influence. It follows you. People seek your input. They trust your presence. They listen, not because they have to, but because they want to. And you've earned that, not through force, but through disciplined tone and daily self-mastery. Speak like a leader, not just with the words you choose, but with the energy you bring. Make your tone reflect strength without dominance, patience without weakness, clarity without coldness. That balance is rare. That balance makes people remember you. It's easy to talk with intensity. It's harder to speak with calm influence. But that's where real power lives. Not in volume, not in intimidation, but in the person who can deliver truth, love, clarity and authority, in a tone that feels safe, strong and sincere. You don't have to shout to be heard. You don't have to force people to listen. You have to speak with a tone that reflects self-respect, emotional discipline, and a deep desire to help others grow. That's how leaders move people. That's how leaders change lives. That's how you rise, not by force but by tone. Chapter 3. Use fewer words to make stronger impact daily. Every word you speak is either building power or leaking it. In a world addicted to noise and over-explaining, the leader stands out by saying less and meaning more. Influence doesn't come from talking the most. It comes from knowing exactly when to speak and having the self-control to say only what's needed. When your words are precise, people take you seriously. When your sentences are clean, people remember them. When you stop trying to impress with volume and start focusing on clarity, your message becomes unshakable. You don't need to fill silence to prove your intelligence. You don't need to speak longer to be respected. In fact, the more words you use unnecessarily, the more you dilute your impact. A powerful leader knows how to make a sentence carry weight. They don't use filler words. They don't ramble. They don't repeat themselves for emphasis. They say it once clearly, calmly, and confidently, and they let it land. There is something magnetic about someone who doesn't rush to speak. Someone who waits for the right moment. Someone who doesn't try to dominate every room with their voice, but instead uses their words with such sharpness that people lean in when they speak. That's not something you fake. It's something you build by developing discipline in your communication. Each time you speak, you're either showing your command over language or revealing your dependence on it. Weak communicators talk to fill space. Strong communicators talk to shift perspective. Weak communicators need approval through explanation. Strong communicators need clarity, and they stop there. If your goal is to be heard, speak less. If your goal is to be remembered, say what matters and leave it at that. Most people speak reactively. They blurt, they ramble, they repeat. Not because they don't know what to say, but because they haven't trained their mind to filter what's unnecessary. They haven't learned to respect silence, and they haven't realized the power of pausing. Silence is not your enemy. It's your weapon. It creates gravity. It gives your message room to breathe. It makes people pay attention. When you speak less, your words start to echo longer. You don't need to add 10 more examples to make your point. One truth, spoken with clarity, hits harder than 100 scattered words. When your thoughts are organized, your words are clean. When your emotions are steady, your sentences stay focused. When you trust yourself, you don't over-explain. The need to say too much usually comes from self-doubt, not strength. So if you want to reduce your word count, start by increasing your self-trust. The discipline of brief and impactful speech starts in your thinking. If your mind is cluttered, your message will be too. If your emotions are loud, your sentences will be long and scattered. Before you open your mouth, calm your mind. Choose your message. Cut what's unnecessary. Ask yourself, what matters most right now? Then say it. Then stop. Let the silence work for you. Let your restraint create weight. Think of the people who've said things that changed your life. Chances are, it wasn't a 5-minute monologue that hit you. It was a sentence, a phrase, a line that sliced through your distractions and went straight to your soul. Those words carried power because they were clean. They weren't dressed up. They weren't padded with fluff. They were direct. They were true. And they were spoken without apology. That's the goal, not to impress with complexity, but to move with simplicity. Not to overwhelm with information, but to awaken with insight. This is especially critical in leadership. People are overwhelmed. They don't need more words. They need clarity. They don't need constant feedback. They need direction. They don't need motivational speeches. They need truth that sticks. And the way you deliver that is by being intentional with every sentence. Train yourself to think in headlines. Say what needs to be said in one clear sentence, and then build from there if needed. Don't start with a story unless the message is already sharp in your mind. Don't explain before you clarify. Don't dress your point in complicated language. The simpler the message, the faster it lands. and the faster it lands, the more it sticks. This also applies to feedback. Leaders who ramble during correction make the other person defensive. But when you keep it tight and respectful, people actually hear what you're saying. This wasn't the standard. We need to shift direction. You're capable of more than this. Clear, honest, clean. That's how respect is built, through precision, not pressure. In conflict, fewer words often diffuse more tension. When emotions run high, people expect long explanations or defensive speeches. But when you remain calm and speak with brevity, you shift the entire dynamic. You show maturity. You show control. You show that you're not emotionally hijacked. You're anchored. And that's exactly what earns respect in hard moments. This doesn't mean you become robotic. It doesn't mean you strip all warmth from your words. It means you stay mindful. You stay purposeful. You let silence be part of your rhythm. You allow people to digest your words without feeling flooded. When you speak this way, people remember what you say, not because it was loud or dramatic, but because it was undeniable. A great sentence can open the mind. A single phrase can change behavior. A clear instruction can alter a person's direction forever. Don't underestimate the power of brevity. Don't assume that more means better. More often than not, more means weaker. More means scattered. More means unclear. Start practicing this everywhere. In your texts, in your emails, in your meetings, with your team, with your family. When someone asks for your opinion, give it with clarity. When someone seeks advice, offer truth, not a paragraph. When someone challenges you, respond with strength, not explanation. Say what you mean what you say, and let that be enough. This takes courage. It's easier to ramble. It's easier to give long speeches to cover insecurity. But it takes strength to say one sentence and let it stand. It takes inner clarity to speak without trying to convince. It takes confidence to know you don't need to say more to be heard. You'll notice the shift quickly. When you reduce your words, people will start to lean in more. They'll start to feel the difference in your presence. They'll start to take your voice more seriously, not because you raised it, but because you sharpened it. They'll realize you're not speaking to be liked. You're speaking to be understood. That's what commands attention. That's what earns trust. This also transforms your self-talk. When you learn to speak with fewer words outwardly, you start to do the same inwardly. You stop overanalyzing everything. You stop repeating negative thoughts. You start giving yourself strong, simple commands. Stay focused. You've handled worse. That internal clarity builds external power. And the discipline you build in your words becomes the foundation for your growth. People don't remember paragraphs. They remember the sentence that pierced their heart. They remember the words that cut through the fog. They remember the leader who didn't waste time, who didn't waste energy, who respected the moment enough to say only what mattered. Be that kind of communicator. Be that kind of leader. When you wake up each day, remind yourself that every word is energy. Every sentence is a decision. Every message is an opportunity to shift someone's day, or even their life. Don't waste it. Don't drown people in noise. Don't use 10 words when 5 will do. Use fewer words, and say them with truth, calm and purpose. That's how leaders speak. That's how change begins. That's how your voice starts to echo in rooms long after you've left. Not because you said the most, but because you said the right thing at the right time, and you left space for it to sink deep. Chapter 4. Listen deeply before you speak. To lead wisely. Powerful leadership doesn't start with words. It starts with attention. The most influential people in any room are not the ones talking the most, but the ones listening with absolute presence. They aren't rushing to give answers. They aren't thinking about what to say next while the other person is still speaking. They are fully tuned in, because they know that until you've truly heard someone, you have no business trying to lead them. When you listen deeply, you gain a rare kind of insight. You hear what isn't being said. You notice the tone behind the words. You catch the fear beneath the frustration, the confusion behind the questions, the exhaustion under the surface of someone's calm voice. Shallow listening only registers the words. Deep listening uncovers the truth. And truth is what leaders need to respond to, because reacting to surface noise only creates more noise. The moment you decide to listen not for the sake of replying, but for the sake of understanding, everything about your leadership changes. People begin to feel safe around you. They stop hiding behind polite answers. They start telling you what's really going on. They open up, not because they were forced to, but because they sensed your presence was patient enough to hold what they needed to share. That kind of trust cannot be faked. It's earned through consistent, intentional listening. Most people aren't truly heard. They're interrupted, overlooked, rushed. So when someone finally listens to them fully, without judgment, without distraction, it changes the dynamic instantly. That's your opportunity as a leader. You can separate yourself from the noise just by closing your mouth and opening your awareness. You don't need to talk first to lead. You need to observe, absorb, and then respond with wisdom earned through attention. Don't confuse silence with weakness. In a world full of reactive energy, silence signals power. It shows restraint. It shows patience. It shows that you aren't governed by impulse. And that's exactly the kind of posture that earns influence, not by dominance, but by discernment. You don't win people by out-talking them. You win them by understanding them better than they understand themselves. Listening deeply means being fully present, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. It means turning off the urge to multitask, resisting the temptation to finish someone's sentence, and letting go of the desire to correct or solve immediately. It means giving your full focus to the person in front of you, as if they're the only one in the room. That level of presence is rare, and that's why it's powerful. When you listen at that level, people feel seen, they feel respected, they feel understood, and those feelings are the gateway to influence. You can't lead someone you haven't first validated. You can't give direction to someone who doesn't believe you care about their perspective. And you can't ask someone to follow you if they don't trust that you're willing to hear them. This is especially true in moments of conflict or pressure. When emotions are high, the instinct is to speak quickly, to defend, to explain, to fix. But wise leadership starts by stepping back. It starts by letting the other person express themselves fully, even if it's messy, even if it's emotional. Because once they've emptied their emotions, they're far more ready to receive direction. If you interrupt too early, you shut down connection. If you listen completely, you earn the right to speak with authority. Deep listening isn't just about being quiet, it's about asking better questions. Questions that open people up instead of shutting them down. Questions that show you care about their reality. Not questions designed to trap or expose, but questions that invite reflection. What are you really feeling about this? What's the part you're not saying out loud? If there were no fear involved, what would you really want? These kinds of questions shift the conversation from surface to substance. And that's where leadership begins. When you take the time to really listen, you gain a map. You see where someone is stuck. What would shed istem are? You understand what's blocking their progress. You start to sense their deeper motivations, and once you know that, your words become 10 times more effective, because now you're not guessing. Now you're speaking to the core issue. You're not just responding to symptoms, you're addressing the root. That kind of leadership doesn't just change conversations, it changes people. It also changes how people listen to you. When someone knows you've listened to them without judgment, they're far more open to what you have to say. They don't resist your feedback. They don't doubt your intentions. They feel your words differently. Because they're not hearing them as commands from above, they're hearing them as guidance from someone who actually understands. That's how leaders move people, by earning permission through presence. Listening isn't passive, it's one of the most active disciplines you'll ever build. It requires you to manage your own impatience, control your assumptions, and keep your ego out of the way. It requires emotional discipline to sit with discomfort, to hear criticism without defensiveness, and to absorb frustration without reacting. That's not easy, but it's necessary if you want your voice to matter when it's finally your turn to speak. If you speak before listening, your message will often miss the mark. It will be based on assumption, not reality. It will be filled with your bias, not their truth. And instead of inspiring action, it will create resistance. But when you listen first, your message becomes tailored, timely, and targeted. It hits because it's relevant. It lands because it's grounded in real understanding. That's not an accident. That's the fruit of intentional attention. Real leadership happens in the moments when you stop trying to be the smartest person in the room and start being the most attentive. When you let others reveal what's true for them without pressure or performance. When you choose to understand before you try to influence. That's when trust is born, and trust is the currency of leadership. Without it, your words are noise. With it, your words create change. Start practicing this today. In every interaction, resist the urge to speak too soon. Let the other person finish, even if you think you already know what they're going to say. Watch their face. Listen to the tone behind their words. Observe their body language. Pay attention to the spaces between their sentences. There's wisdom hidden there, if you're calm enough to catch it. Then when it's your turn to speak, speak from that understanding, not from your assumptions, not from your emotions, but from what you've actually heard and absorbed. You'll be amazed how much more impact your words have, not because you changed what you're saying, but because now your words are rooted in what the other person actually needs to hear. The discipline of listening first also helps you avoid unnecessary conflict. Many arguments happen, not because of disagreement, but because of misunderstanding. People talk past each other, each one trying to prove their point, neither one actually hearing the other. But when you pause and really listen, you can often find common ground before the argument ever starts. You can de-escalate tension by making the other person feel heard. You can redirect conversations before they turn toxic. That's not weakness. That's strategic wisdom. Over time you'll notice something else. As you build the habit of listening deeply to others, you also start listening more deeply to yourself. You notice the quality of your thoughts. You hear the noise in your own mind more clearly. And as a result you begin to speak to yourself with more clarity and discipline. You interrupt negative spirals earlier. You respond to your own fears with more wisdom. Your internal leadership grows, and that reflects in everything you say externally. Deep listening trains your emotional intelligence. It sharpens your instincts. It makes your speech cleaner and your decisions wiser. It turns you from a talker into a true communicator. And it gives you the kind of presence that people respect without you having to demand it. If you want to lead wisely, Start by listening fully, not halfway, not selectively, fully, with your eyes, with your mind, with your heart. Make it a daily practice, not just in important meetings, but in small interactions. Listen to your team, listen to your friends, listen to the people others overlook. The more you listen, the sharper your leadership becomes, and the fewer words you'll need to move people, because now your words will come from clarity, not from guesswork. Leadership is not about how often you speak. It's about how deeply you listen before you do. So stop rushing to be heard. Stop filling silence with noise. Start leaning in. Start hearing what matters. Start letting your attention do the heavy lifting. And when the moment is right, speak, not with force, not with fear, but with calm wisdom rooted in everything you've just heard. That's how you lead. That's how you earn trust. That's how your voice begins to truly matter. Chapter 5. Pause before responding to control every conversation powerfully. Most people lose their power the moment they open their mouth too fast. The real strength in any conversation comes from the pause, the deliberate moment you take before saying anything. That split second of silence is where your control lives. That's where you make the decision not to react, but to respond. That's where your words become intentional, not emotional. And that pause, it's not weakness, it's your advantage. The one who pauses leads the conversation. Because while the other person rushes to fill the silence, you're reading the room. You're measuring their energy. You're watching what they're really saying, not just the words but the emotion behind them. And because you wait, your response lands with clarity. It doesn't stumble. It doesn't tremble. It hits because it's thought through, not thrown out. In the heat of any discussion, whether it's a negotiation, an argument, or a moment of decision, your instinct will be to talk fast, to defend, to explain, to prove your point. But the ones who master themselves know better. They know that every time they rush, they risk giving away their power. When you pause, you create space. And in that space, you gain control. You regain composure. You separate emotion from truth. And you shift the balance of the entire conversation without raising your voice or dominating anyone. Pausing before you speak sends a signal. It shows that you're composed, not cornered. It tells the other person that you're not reacting on impulse. You're choosing your next move. That alone makes people listen more carefully. Because when someone isn't rushing to speak, their words gain weight. Their presence becomes heavier. Their silence demands attention. You don't need volume to create impact. You need precision, and that precision begins with the pause. Think about how many times you've said something too quickly and regretted it. Think about how often you've tried to undo a sentence that came out too sharp, too soon, too unfiltered. Now think about what would have happened if you had taken just 3 seconds to breathe. That moment could have changed everything. That's the power you unlock when you build the discipline to pause. In high-pressure situations, the pause protects you. It gives your mind the chance to catch up to your emotions. It allows you to reframe your thoughts before they become words. It creates just enough distance from the heat of the moment so you can step back and respond with strength instead of weakness. And that response, the one that comes after control, not chaos, is what people remember. That's what earns you respect. People expect others to talk back immediately. They're used to interruptions, defensiveness, and speed. But when you break that pattern with stillness, everything changes. You shift the rhythm. You create tension, not the kind that escalates conflict, but the kind that commands attention. Your silence becomes a tool, not a gap. And when you finally speak, the room leans in, not because you demanded it, but because you earned it. Control doesn't come from how much you say. It comes from how well you choose what not to say. It comes from holding back when it's tempting to strike. It comes from filtering your thoughts through intention. Every conversation is a test. It's a chance to either pour fuel on chaos or bring calm to confusion. And the pause is the moment you decide which one it's going to be. The strongest people are not the loudest. They're the ones who don't flinch when things get tense. They don't let urgency manipulate them. They don't get pulled into emotional whirlwinds. They keep their center. They hold their pace, and because of that, their influence deepens. The pause is how they anchor themselves. It's how they regain clarity when everyone else is spinning. There's nothing passive about the pause. It's not about being quiet to avoid conflict. It's about stepping back so you can step in with strength. You don't pause to retreat. You pause to position yourself better. You take that moment so that when you speak, you're not contributing to confusion, you're cutting through it. You're not reacting to noise, you're bringing signal. And that kind of clarity is rare, which is why it's powerful. People who pause also listen better. They're not just waiting to talk. They're paying attention. They're reading not just the words but the gaps between them. They catch the hesitation in someone's voice. They notice what wasn't said. They tune into the emotional frequency of the conversation. And because they take that time, they understand more. They don't just hear, they comprehend. That comprehension shapes everything they say next. And that's what makes their words land differently. Because they're not just speaking, they're speaking to the heart of what's going on. They're not guessing. They're not trying to dominate. They're guiding. They're redirecting. They're influencing without force. And all of that begins with one small pause, one breath of awareness before the next sentence leaves your mouth. Start practicing it in the smallest ways. When someone says something that triggers you, pause. Don't respond out of habit. Respond out of wisdom. When you're asked a tough question, pause. Give yourself the dignity of thinking clearly before you speak. When you're unsure, pause. Let silence give you space to think. Over time, that pause becomes your superpower. It becomes your way of maintaining composure when others lose theirs. Pausing also allows you to assess not just the other person but yourself. You get to notice your own thoughts before they turn into actions. You see the story your mind is telling you. You catch the emotions rising. And in catching them, you reclaim choice. You don't have to follow that impulse. You don't have to ride the emotional wave. You can choose a better response. That's self-mastery. That's power in motion. Every strong communicator you admire, whether in leadership, business, or relationships, has mastered this. They don't rush. They don't let others set their pace. They choose their moments. They speak when it matters. And when they do, you feel the difference. Because their words come from depth, not from defensiveness. From understanding, not from ego. From intention, not from noise. You don't need to dominate a conversation to control it. You need to guide it with presence. You need to regulate your own emotions first. You need to let the other person feel heard without immediately trying to fix, argue, or one-up. The pause gives you that chance. It gives you time to choose language that builds instead of breaks. It gives you power to lead without pressure. This isn't about manipulation. It's about mastery. Mastery over your emotions. Mastery over your pace. Mastery over the energy you bring into every dialogue. Because when you have that, you can stay grounded no matter how chaotic the other person becomes. You can remain composed while others lose control. And that composure changes the outcome of every interaction. Even in moments of victory, when you're right, when you've won the point, pause. Let your confidence be calm, not arrogant. Let your win speak for itself. That restraint is what separates leaders from talkers. Leaders don't waste energy proving things. They let results and silence carry the message. They let others feel the weight of their presence before their words arrive. And that presence, it's built in the quiet moment before the reply. Start today. Every conversation you enter is a chance to train this discipline. Don't aim to be quick. Aim to be clear. Don't aim to impress. Aim to impact. Don't talk to react. Speak to respond. The difference is everything, and it all begins with a pause. That pause is your anchor, your shield, your power, and once you own it, you'll never feel the need to rush again. Because power that is rushed is fragile, but power that is calm, that is deliberate, that is grounded in self-control, that kind of power is unshakable. It leads without noise. It commands without force. It influences without pressure. And it transforms every room it enters. So the next time your heart races in a conversation, the next time you feel the urge to defend, to prove, to strike back, stop, breathe, pause, and in that pause choose strength over speed. Choose impact over impulse. Choose control over chaos. That one decision will change your life, and it will change how the world listens when you speak. Chapter 6. Build trust by speaking only with quiet honesty. The world is drowning in noise, but it listens closely to someone who speaks with quiet honesty. Real trust isn't built through shouting, exaggerating, or performing. It's earned through words that are true, calm, and consistent. When your voice doesn't need to be loud to carry weight, people instinctively lean in. They know you're not trying to convince or manipulate. You're just speaking what's real. And that's rare. When you speak with quiet honesty, you're not trying to impress anyone. You're not pretending to know everything. You're not faking confidence or hiding behind polished words. You're simply being direct, without aggression. Clear, without arrogance. Honest, without being harsh. And people feel that. It's a tone that puts defenses down. It makes others feel safe because they know there's no hidden agenda. You're not using words as a shield. You're using them as a mirror. Trust begins when someone senses that you mean exactly what you say and nothing more. Not inflated, not dressed up, just the truth, delivered with respect. That kind of communication doesn't need decoration. It doesn't need volume. It just needs courage. The courage to say what's right, not what's easy. And when you commit to that level of honesty, you become someone others rely on, not because you always say what they want to hear, but because you say what they need to hear, with calm and care. Speaking with quiet honesty means you stop trying to perform for approval. You stop packaging your words to be liked. You stop bending your truth to avoid tension. It doesn't mean you become cold or robotic. It means you become real. You speak with awareness, but not fear. You say what's true for you, not what's convenient. And the more you live in that space, the more trust you naturally create. Because people aren't confused by you. They know where you stand. They know your words align with your actions. There's nothing more grounding than talking to someone who says exactly what they mean, without pushing or posturing. Their presence calms the room, because there's no performance, no games, just presence, just reality. And that kind of presence builds a foundation that people want to stand on. They begin to bring their own walls down. They start opening up in return. And all of it starts because one person had the strength to be quietly honest. You don't need to reveal everything, but what you do choose to say must come from a place of clarity and truth. If your words are guided by fear, manipulation, or insecurity, people sense it, even if they can't explain it. But when your words are grounded in honesty, even soft honesty, they carry a gravity that cuts through distractions. They travel straight into people's memory, because the world rarely offers that kind of realness anymore. You can't fake quiet honesty. It has to be lived. It has to be practiced. It starts with how you talk to yourself. Are you honest about your motives? Are you honest about your weaknesses? Do you admit when you're wrong, or do you cover it up with excuses? Do you tell yourself the truth, even when it hurts? Because only someone who speaks truth to themselves can carry that same strength into their conversations with others. And when you start operating from that place, people notice that your energy is different. They realize you're not trying to impress, compete, or control. You're just trying to connect. And connection is what everyone wants, but very few know how to build. Quiet honesty builds it. It doesn't create attention. It creates depth, and it earns loyalty, not with flash, but with integrity. Think of the most trustworthy person you know. Chances are, they're not loud, they're not always the center of the room. But when they speak, people stop and listen. That's the power of alignment. Their voice and values match. Their words and actions don't contradict. And because of that, you believe them, even when what they say isn't easy to hear. That's the kind of presence you want to build, not a loud one but a stable one. Every time you speak, you're either adding to people's trust in you or taking away from it. There's no neutral. If your words are meant to impress, to dodge responsibility, or to manipulate emotion, you lose something, even if no one calls you out for it. But if your words are measured, honest, and consistent with how you live, you become someone others listen to instinctively. Not because you demanded their attention, but because you earned it. Quiet honesty doesn't mean being soft. It means being clear, without being cruel. It means telling the truth, without drama. It means owning your point of view, even when it's not popular. It's about delivering truth that's helpful, not harmful. And that kind of communication builds relationships that don't break under pressure, because they're rooted in something real. You don't have to speak often. You don't have to fill every silence. You don't have to correct every misunderstanding. Sometimes the strongest thing you can say is a simple, clear truth, delivered without force. That's when people really hear you. Not when you raise your volume, but when you raise your standards for how you speak. Even when you make mistakes, and you will, quiet honesty allows you to own them without shame. You admit, not to be weak, but to be real. You say, I was wrong, not to be pitied, but to be clear. You say, I don't know, not because you're incompetent, but because you value truth over pretending. And every time you do that, you become stronger in the eyes of others. Not because you're perfect, but because you're grounded. People trust what they feel is consistent. If you say one thing, but do another, no matter how smooth your words are, they won't hold weight. But if your speech reflects who you are, even quietly, it holds power. Real influence comes from integrity, not performance. And integrity starts in your voice, your tone, and the quiet truth you carry with you every day. This kind of speech is not reactive. It's chosen. It's not designed to win arguments. It's designed to tell the truth. It's not here to dominate. It's here to reveal. And that kind of speech makes you dangerous in the best way. Because in a world addicted to noise, your calm honesty cuts through. It doesn't try to overpower. It simply shows up, stands firm, and speaks the truth in its own steady way. Quiet honesty is not just about the words, it's about the posture. It's about how you carry yourself when you speak. No show, no exaggeration. Just a calm certainty that your words don't need to be dressed up to matter. That's what makes you different. That's what makes your words memorable. Practice speaking less, but saying more. Practice being direct without being cold. Practice removing filler words and letting the truth stand on its own. The more you do this, the more your communication becomes an extension of your character. And that's when people start listening, not just to your words, but to your presence. In every room you walk into, decide this: I will speak only what I know is true. I will not say things to impress. I will not bend the truth for comfort. I will be clear, calm, and grounded. That decision will elevate your reputation. It will simplify your life. It will deepen every relationship you care about. Quiet honesty doesn't need to be defended. It holds its own. It earns its space. It's what makes you a steady presence when everything around you is chaotic. It's what gives your voice power when everyone else is trying to shout. And it's what builds something few people have in today's world: genuine trust. So let your voice reflect your values. Let your speech carry strength, not noise. Let your words come from a place so rooted in clarity that people feel safer just being around you. That's what makes you not just a good communicator, but a trustworthy one. And in a world that's tired of fakes, that's the voice we need. Chapter 7. Make eye contact to show strength and certainty. When you walk into a room and make eye contact, you silently tell the world you're not afraid of being seen. You're not hiding. You're not shrinking. You're standing tall in who you are, and that confidence radiates before you even say a word. People feel it before they understand it. They respect it before they analyze it. Because real strength doesn't always speak out loud. It shows up in how you look someone in the eye and hold your ground. Most people avoid eye contact, not because they're rude, but because they're unsure of themselves. They feel exposed, uncertain, and uncomfortable. But you're not here to live in discomfort. You're here to rise above it. You're here to become the person who doesn't flinch when it's time to face someone fully. You're here to show the world that you belong, and you do that with presence, not noise. And the simplest way to project presence is through steady, intentional eye contact. You don't need to be aggressive. You don't need to stare someone down. You don't need to try and dominate. You just need to hold your gaze long enough to prove to yourself that you have nothing to run from. When you do that, the world sees you differently. They see someone who's grounded. Someone who's not apologizing for their place in the room. Someone who doesn't need to explain themselves because their presence already makes the statement. Think about the people who've had the biggest influence on you: mentors, leaders, even strangers who made a lasting impression. Most of them didn't speak for hours. What made you remember them was how they carried themselves, how they looked you in the eyes and made you feel seen without saying much. That's the effect of certainty. It can't be faked. It can't be forced. But it can be built. And eye contact is a tool that sharpens it. Every time you avoid someone's gaze, you train your mind to retreat. You teach your body that it's not safe to be fully present. But when you hold eye contact, even for a few seconds longer than usual, you send a different message to yourself and to others. You're telling your nervous system, I can handle this moment. I'm not backing down. I'm here, and I'm enough. That repetition rewires your confidence from the inside out. You don't have to be loud to be respected. You don't need to overpower the room to gain authority, but you do need to be seen. And being seen starts with showing up fully. Eyes forward, posture steady, voice calm. There's power in stillness. There's weight in a gaze that doesn't shift when challenged. That kind of presence is magnetic. People trust it. They want to follow it. Because it feels rare, and rare gets remembered. When you make eye contact, you signal interest. You say, "I'm listening." You say, "I'm not afraid to meet you where you are." And that subtle act shifts dynamics instantly. Whether you're speaking to a crowd or having a quiet one-on-one, holding eye contact tells people you're not bluffing. You're not pretending. You're not performing. You're just here, in full ownership of yourself. You won't always feel confident. There will be days when your voice shakes, your thoughts race, and your emotions feel overwhelming. But in those moments, eye contact becomes your anchor. It reminds you that you're still in control. It keeps you grounded. And even if your words aren't perfect, your gaze will speak volumes. It will say, "I'm here. I'm honest. I'm not running." That alone earns more respect than any rehearsed speech. There's also a deep psychological truth at play here. People are wired to respond to visual signals. When someone looks them in the eye with calm energy, they mirror that energy back. They open up. They soften. They respect the unspoken message. You can trust me because I trust myself. That's what eye contact communicates. A quiet inner stability that cannot be explained, only felt. It's not about perfection. You don't need to hold a stare for minutes at a time. You don't need to make every second a performance. But you do need to stop avoiding it. Stop darting your eyes away when someone looks at you. Stop shrinking when it's your turn to speak. Practice meeting people's eyes as if to say, "I'm not above you. I'm not beneath you. I'm with you." That's where connection begins. You'll notice something powerful when you start doing this consistently. People will start listening to you more attentively. They'll treat your words with more weight. They'll take your presence more seriously. Not because you're demanding it, but because you're demonstrating it. Eye contact shows them that you're present, alert, and real. And realness is rare, which is why it commands attention. You've probably seen someone enter a room and immediately capture the energy without saying a word. It wasn't their clothes. It wasn't their voice. It was their presence. And that presence was communicated through how they carried themselves, including how they made eye contact with everyone they encountered. They didn't look away. They didn't shrink. They didn't doubt. They simply existed with full awareness. And that's what made them unforgettable. When you combine eye contact with a composed posture and calm tone, you become the kind of communicator people remember. You don't have to be flashy. You don't need to be loud. You just need to be present. Fully, steadily, consistently. Because in a world full of distraction, the most powerful person is often the one who's actually paying attention. Use every interaction as a chance to practice. Look people in the eye when you say hello. Maintain your gaze when you speak your opinion. Don't fidget or glance away when things get intense. Stay still. Stay with the moment. Even if your heart races, let your eyes show steadiness. That contrast will give you an edge most people never develop. This skill doesn't just affect how others see you. It transforms how you see yourself. Because when you stop avoiding, you start owning. You stop hiding and start stepping up. You begin to feel the shift internally. More self-respect, more certainty, more strength. Not because the world changed, but because you started showing up differently within it. So if you want to command more respect, don't start with better words, start with better presence. Train your eyes to meet people where they are. Train your gaze to stay focused, even under pressure. That single habit will create a ripple effect in how you're perceived. Because it's not just a social cue, it's a declaration of confidence. quiet, undeniable, and powerful. And remember, eye contact isn't about staring. It's not about control. It's about connection. It's about saying, I see you, and I'm not afraid to be seen. That message, when delivered with calm strength, speaks louder than anything else you could say. So keep your head up, your eyes forward, and your presence steady. That's how leaders walk into a room. That's how strong minds communicate. That's how you begin to own every moment, one quiet, steady glance at a time. Chapter 8. Ask direct questions that spark reflection and change. When you hold your gaze with unwavering calm, you don't have to say much. Your presence already speaks for you. In a world where so many people try to prove their worth through words, true power is often communicated in silence. Eye contact is one of the most subtle and commanding tools you possess. It tells others you're centered, you're certain, and you're not afraid to stand in your truth. It sends a clear signal you are grounded in who you are, and nothing outside of you can shake that. Most people never master this skill. They look down, glance away, or fidget under pressure. And without realizing it, they give away their power. They show hesitation, doubt, or insecurity without saying a word. But when you look someone in the eye, not with aggression, not with arrogance, but with calm self-assurance, you shift the entire tone of the interaction. You become the stable force in the room. People respond to that. They feel it. They remember it. The strength in eye contact is not about trying to intimidate anyone. It's about demonstrating inner clarity. It's about being fully present. When you lock eyes with someone and don't flinch, you're saying, I know where I stand. You're not seeking validation. You're not playing a role. You're being exactly who you are. And you're not hiding. That's the kind of energy that draws people in. It makes them listen without needing to be told. It invites respect before a word is spoken. There's something deeply human about eye contact. It cuts through pretense. It dissolves distractions. It forces connection. If you want to be taken seriously, if you want people to remember you, if you want to influence without shouting, learn how to hold a gaze. Let your eyes do the work your voice can't always finish. Let them reflect the discipline and clarity you've built inside. That's how people will feel your leadership without you announcing it. Many avoid eye contact because it feels too raw. It demands authenticity. It strips away performance. You can't hide behind rehearsed lines or forced confidence when you're looking someone directly in the eye. But that discomfort is exactly where the growth begins. When you practice holding eye contact, even when you feel nervous, even when you feel unsure, you strengthen your internal composure. You develop emotional control. You become more intentional. You don't need to overthink it. You're not staring someone down or trying to prove a point. You're simply remaining open, engaged, and fully there. That alone sets you apart. People notice when someone isn't afraid of being seen. They trust those who aren't playing a part. And they follow those who project stability. Because in a world full of noise, that calm presence stands out. You don't need permission to look someone in the eyes. You don't need to be in a position of power or authority. You simply need to believe that you are enough as you are. When you carry that belief, your eyes naturally express it. They don't shift nervously. They don't dart away looking for escape. They stay focused. They stay intentional. That's when people start to feel your confidence without you needing to explain it. Think about how many times you've respected someone instantly just by how they carried themselves. It wasn't their voice. It wasn't their words. It was something about their energy. The way they stood, the way they looked at you, the way they didn't flinch. That's the effect of consistent eye contact. It's quiet, but it's powerful. It tells a story of self-trust. And when you trust yourself, others feel safe trusting you too. You can practice this in every situation. When you greet someone, look them in the eyes. When you speak your mind, don't break your gaze. When things get uncomfortable, stay steady. That discipline trains you to stay calm under pressure. It strengthens your ability to communicate without panic. And the more you do it, the more natural it becomes, until one day you no longer think about it, you just embody it. There is no shortcut to this kind of strength. You build it by facing discomfort instead of avoiding it. You sharpen it through real experiences, not just theory. And the simplest way to practice it daily is to be more intentional with your eye contact. Look up instead of down. Stay connected instead of checking out. Be bold enough to be fully seen, even if you're not saying a word. You'll start to notice something powerful when you live this way. People will listen more closely when you speak. They'll remember your presence even after you leave the room. They'll respect your opinion without needing to be convinced. Because eye contact doesn't just reflect confidence, it transmits it. It creates a subtle force field around you that influences the mood of the moment. And the more calm you are inside, the more potent that influence becomes. It's not about being perfect. There will be times when you feel unsure. There will be moments when you want to look away. That's normal. But in those moments, you have a choice. You can reinforce old habits of avoidance, or you can choose to grow. Choosing to hold eye contact, even when it's uncomfortable, is how you strengthen your identity. It's how you teach yourself that you're capable of being centered no matter what's happening around you. There's a quiet dignity in someone who doesn't break their gaze, not in a forceful way, but in a calm, focused, grounded way. That dignity earns more respect than any flashy words or exaggerated gestures, because people can feel the difference between someone performing and someone present, and presence always wins. Presence creates influence, presence builds trust, and presence begins with eye contact. When you master this, everything shifts. Conversations become more meaningful. Conflict becomes easier to manage. People become more open around you, and opportunities come more often, because people gravitate toward those who carry themselves with certainty. You become someone others can depend on, someone others feel inspired by, not because you tried to impress them, but because you showed up with steady strength. Let your eyes communicate your discipline. Let them show your focus. Let them project your truth without needing decoration. That's what strong communicators do. They know how to sit in silence and still make an impact. They know how to be fully present without demanding attention. They let their presence do the talking. You don't need to wait for a big moment to practice this. Every interaction is your training ground. Every conversation is a chance to strengthen your composure. Every time you feel tempted to shrink, use it as a chance to rise. Look up. Stay with it. Stay present. Stay grounded. The more you do, the more natural it becomes. And the more natural it becomes, the more power you command without ever needing to raise your voice. The truth is, you can say more with one strong glance than most say with 100 words. That's not a cliché. That's reality. Because communication isn't just about what you say, it's about how you say it, how you carry it, and how you show up. Eye contact is a window into your self-belief, and when that belief is strong, it shines through without effort. So build it, use it, honor it. Train yourself to make eye contact that reflects the strength you're building every day. Let it become a symbol of your growth. Let it remind you that you don't need to prove anything. You just need to be real. That's what people respect. That's what makes you powerful. That's what gives your presence weight. And when you walk into a room and look someone in the eye, without needing to dominate, without needing to speak, you'll feel the shift. You'll feel the confidence. You'll feel the certainty. And so will everyone else. That's when you know you've stepped into your true strength. Quiet, clear, unshakable. Chapter 9. Eliminate weak words to sound more confident fast. Every word you speak is a reflection of your internal strength, your self-belief, and your clarity. Weak words do not only undermine your message, they diminish your presence. If you want to come across as confident, powerful, and authoritative, you must first understand the immense power of language. The words you choose to speak either elevate or diminish your influence. Weak words, words that lack conviction, words that hedge, and words that soften, hold you back. To break free from this barrier, you need to consciously eliminate them from your vocabulary. When you remove these weak words, you free yourself to speak with the unshakable confidence that commands respect and attention. Take a moment and think about the words you use every day. Are you unintentionally undermining your own authority? Many people do without even realizing it. Words like I think, I feel, maybe, perhaps, and just are often used in casual conversations, but they dilute the message you're trying to convey. They give others the impression that you're uncertain, indecisive, or that you're not entirely committed to your words. If you say, I think this is a good idea, you've already planted doubt. If you say, maybe we can try this, it suggests you're not sure whether it's worth pursuing. Every time you weaken your language like this, you rob yourself of the strength you're capable of projecting. Now, let's talk about eliminating these weak words. The first step is awareness. You need to pay attention to your speech patterns and identify these crutches. Once you are conscious of how often you rely on these words, you can start to change the way you speak. Take the word just, for example. How many times have you said, I just want to make sure, or I just think that when you add just before a statement, it softens it. It makes your words feel less important, less authoritative. Instead of saying, I just want to make sure this is right, say, I want to make sure this is right. The latter sounds more decisive and confident. The next step is replacing these weak words with stronger, more decisive ones. You don't have to make every sentence sound like an ultimatum, but you can still assert your opinion clearly and confidently. Instead of saying, I think we should try, we should, or this is the solution we need. You don't need to over-explain yourself. You don't need to hedge your statements. If you're confident in your stance, let your words reflect that. Another common phrase to eliminate is I feel. While it's important to express emotion, overusing I feel can soften your point and make it seem like your opinion is less grounded in facts. If you say, I feel like this is the best option, you're essentially distancing yourself from the truth of what you know. Try replacing I feel with definitive statements like this is the best option or this is the right choice. You'll notice an immediate shift in the weight of your words. You're no longer waiting for validation. You're taking ownership of your perspective, and that is the hallmark of confidence. Eliminating weak words also requires being mindful of phrases that add unnecessary complexity or vagueness to your communication. Words like maybe, possibly, or I'm not sure do not project authority. They leave the door open for doubt and indecision. Instead of using these qualifiers, speak with conviction. For example, instead of saying, maybe we should reconsider, try saying, we need to reconsider. Do you see the difference? One gives the impression of wavering, while the other exudes certainty and leadership. Another weak word to watch out for is sorry. While it's important to apologize when you make a mistake, using sorry unnecessarily weakens your speech. For example, saying, sorry to bother you but, or sorry if I'm wrong but, gives the impression that you are uncertain or asking for permission. If you need to get someone's attention, just ask. If you want to offer an opinion, do so without apologizing for it. Be mindful of where you are using sorry, and ask yourself, is it necessary? The more you remove this from your vocabulary, the more you'll project an image of strength and conviction. It's not just about removing weak words, it's about replacing them with strong, empowering language that creates clarity and inspires action. You can use powerful words that command attention, such as we will, I am, and this is the solution. These words create certainty and momentum. They are declarative, not hesitant. They tell others that you have a vision, that you are clear about what needs to happen, and that you are in control. When you replace uncertainty with clarity, people start to listen to you differently. And here's the thing, speaking confidently doesn't mean speaking aggressively or forcefully. Confidence doesn't need to shout. It can be quiet, firm and calm. It's about projecting assurance, not arrogance. It's about being grounded in your own truth and letting the truth be the foundation of your words. So, when you speak, be mindful of how you communicate your thoughts. The tone, delivery and choice of words can make all the difference. Now let's talk about the impact of eliminating weak words on your personal and professional life. When you start to eliminate weak words, you'll begin to notice a shift in how people perceive you. You'll exude authority and trustworthiness. People will start to take your words seriously. They will recognize that you are someone who speaks with intention and clarity. In meetings, you won't just be another voice in the room. You'll be a leader, someone people turn to for direction. In relationships, whether personal or professional, people will respect your opinions because they'll see you as someone who is confident in their own thoughts and ideas. You will become someone who inspires action, someone who is unafraid to lead. The power of strong language doesn't just stop with your speech, it extends into your actions. When you speak confidently, you start to carry yourself differently. You walk taller, you make decisions more swiftly. You stop second-guessing yourself. You start owning every choice you make because you know your words and actions are aligned with your true intentions. You stop seeking permission or approval. Instead, you act with purpose and conviction. So, if you want to sound more confident fast, start by paying attention to the words you use. Eliminate weak words and replace them with strong, direct language that commands respect. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. Soon you'll find that you are speaking not only with confidence but with an authenticity that others can't help but respect. You will no longer be the person who hesitates or seeks validation. You will be the person who takes control of conversations, leads with purpose and inspires confidence in others. The way you speak defines how you're perceived. And when you eliminate weak words, you unlock your true power to communicate clearly, confidently, and decisively. So start today. Look at your language. Remove the crutches and replace them with strength. Speak your truth. Speak with clarity. And let your words become the vehicle for the confidence and success you deserve. Chapter 10. Share your message clearly with strong daily intention. Your message is powerful, but only if you share it with intention. Every day is an opportunity to speak with purpose and communicate your thoughts in a way that creates lasting impact. To truly influence others, to connect on a deeper level, and to make your ideas matter, you must cultivate the habit of sharing your message with clarity and strong daily intention. Every time you speak, every time you express yourself, you leave an imprint on the world around you. The question is, what are you imprinting? Too often, we allow life's distractions, our own doubts, or the opinions of others to muddy the clarity of our message. We hesitate, we overthink, and we hesitate again. We get caught in the cycle of second-guessing ourselves instead of pushing forward with conviction. But the truth is, the world needs your message, and it needs to hear it now. Waiting for the right moment or the perfect words will never bring clarity. You must learn to speak with strong, unwavering intention every single day, regardless of how imperfect it feels. To share your message clearly, you must first know what your message is. Too often, we go through life without ever taking the time to truly understand our purpose and what we stand for. Without this clarity, every message you try to send will be diluted. You'll find yourself fumbling over your words, lacking conviction, and wondering why your message isn't resonating. But when you gain a clear understanding of what you want to communicate, the rest becomes easier. This clarity comes from a deep self-reflection, a commitment to understanding your values, your goals, and your unique perspective. It means not only knowing what you want to say, but also why you need to say it. What is the deeper meaning behind your words? How do they contribute to the bigger picture? When you find the answers to these questions, you unlock the ability to speak with unwavering purpose. Once you've discovered the core of your message, it's time to share it daily. And this doesn't just mean speaking your message once in a while when the mood strikes. It's about consistency. Your message should be an ongoing conversation, woven into every part of your life. Whether you're talking to a group of people, to a single individual, or even just to yourself, let your message permeate every word you speak. This is where intention comes in. When you speak with intention, you are present in the moment. You are focused on what you are saying and how it will impact others. This is a level of awareness that goes beyond surface-level communication. You are not merely talking to fill silence, nor are you waiting for someone else to speak before you share your thoughts. You are actively engaging with the world around you and using your words to create a powerful ripple effect. One of the key elements of sharing your message with strong daily intention is eliminating distractions. In a world filled with constant noise, it's easy to lose track of what's important. Social media, television, personal worries, or just the busyness of life can all pull your attention away from the task at hand. But when you commit to sharing your message with intention, you set boundaries. You create time and space in your day to focus solely on your message, whether that means blocking out distractions during a conversation or carving out time to refine your thoughts. You make the effort to ensure that your communication is not only intentional, but also impactful. Furthermore, to communicate clearly, you must be mindful of how you structure your message. A clear message isn't just about what you say, but how you say it. Simplicity is key. The most powerful messages are often the simplest. Don't overcomplicate your words. Avoid jargon or unnecessary fluff. Speak directly, with honesty and conviction, and avoid over-explaining yourself. When you speak with clarity, your message cuts through the noise. It grabs attention, holds it, and leaves a lasting impression. One common mistake many people make is to downplay their message. They speak quietly, with uncertainty, or even with hesitation, as if to say, "I'm not sure if this matters," but this immediately weakens your message. If you don't fully believe in what you are saying, how can you expect others to? Confidence isn't just about how you feel about yourself, it's about how you present your ideas to the world. Speak with conviction, stand behind your message, fully owning it. Let people know that you are not just sharing thoughts that come to mind. These are thoughts you've carefully considered, and they matter. Your words have weight. But clarity is more than just eliminating distractions and structuring your message in a straightforward way. It's also about ensuring that you are speaking to the needs and desires of your audience. Understanding who you are speaking to and tailoring your message accordingly is essential for effective communication. If you want your message to resonate, you need to know what matters to the people you're speaking to. Speak to their pain points, their aspirations, their struggles. Show them that you understand them on a deeper level, and they will begin to listen intently. The act of sharing your message clearly with strong daily intention isn't just about the words you say, though it's also about the energy behind those words. Words are powerful, but the energy you bring to those words amplifies their impact. Think of someone you admire who speaks with confidence. They aren't just saying words, they're embodying their message. There's an energy in their voice, a certainty in their posture, and a fire in their eyes that makes their message undeniable. That is the energy you need to bring to every conversation, every interaction. When you speak with energy and intention, your message becomes contagious. People will feel it, and they will respond to it. And here's the most important part. Speak with action behind your words. Words without action are empty. They carry no weight. When you speak, back up your words with tangible steps. If you say you believe in something, show it. If you say you're committed to a cause, take action. When people see that your message is not just something you say, but something you live by, they will begin to trust you. They will begin to believe in the strength of your message, because they'll see that you're someone who lives with intention and purpose. To master the art of sharing your message with clarity and intention, you must also be willing to listen. Listen to yourself. Listen to how your words come across. Are they being received as intended? Are they having the desired effect? Listen to the feedback from others. Do they understand your message? Do they resonate with it? Use this feedback to refine your approach. The best communicators are those who never stop learning and growing. They're constantly refining their message and ensuring that it remains clear, compelling, and powerful. You must also remain persistent. Some days will feel easier than others. Some conversations will flow with ease, while others will feel forced. But consistency is key. Speak with intention every day, regardless of the challenges you face. Over time you will become more comfortable, more natural in your ability to communicate with clarity and purpose. And as you continue to refine your message, you'll find that people begin to listen more intently, engage more deeply, and trust your words more fully. Sharing your message clearly with strong daily intention is not a one-time effort. It's a daily commitment to speaking with purpose, to eliminating distractions, and to embodying your message in everything you do. It's about speaking with the kind of clarity and conviction that leaves no room for doubt. It's about creating a ripple effect that spreads far beyond your own words. It's about making sure that every time you speak, you're leaving a legacy that lasts. So make it count. Speak with intention. Speak with clarity. And let your message change the world. Chapter 11. Speak with purpose that moves people into action. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs action. It needs you to speak with purpose that moves others to take the next step, to move beyond their comfort zones, and to make decisions that change their lives. Your words hold incredible power. They can inspire, ignite passion, and set in motion the very transformation that others are seeking. But speaking with purpose isn't something that happens by chance. It requires clarity, intention, and a deep understanding of the human condition. Every time you open your mouth to speak, you have an opportunity to make an impact. But too many people waste this opportunity, speaking without direction or without a clear understanding of the effect they want to have. When you speak with purpose, you are no longer just talking to fill the silence. You are making sure that every word you say has the potential to move someone into action. Whether you're speaking to a crowd or one-on-one, the impact of your words can ripple far beyond the immediate moment. The question is, are you speaking with that kind of purpose? Speaking with purpose requires that you understand the desires, the struggles, and the motivations of the people you are speaking to. If you want to move people to action, you need to know what drives them. What do they care about? What do they want to achieve? What obstacles are they facing? When you understand these things, you can speak directly to their hearts. You can speak in a way that resonates with their emotions, their challenges, and their dreams. Your words will be more than just sound. They will be the catalyst for change. But you can't move people if you don't speak with conviction. Purpose without conviction is empty. It's the difference between saying something because you have to and saying something because you believe in it with every fiber of your being. When you speak with conviction, your words carry weight. People can feel your passion. They can hear the truth in your voice. They know that what you're saying is not just a random collection of thoughts. It's something you've thought deeply about and are committed to. The most impactful speakers in the world are not the ones with the smoothest words or the most polished delivery. They are the ones who speak with the kind of authenticity and passion that resonates with others. They speak from a place of deep belief in what they are saying. When you speak with that kind of purpose, people can't help but listen. And when they listen, they are moved. They are inspired to act. To speak with purpose that moves people into action, you must also be clear on what action you want them to take. Far too often, we speak without any clear direction for our listeners. We give them motivation and inspiration, but we don't tell them what to do with it. Motivation without direction is like a fire that burns out because there's no fuel to keep it going. You need to be specific about the action you want people to take. If you want someone to take action, you have to make it clear what that action is. Don't leave them wondering what they should do next. Don't let them get lost in the shuffle of your words. If you want them to change their habits, be clear about what habits they need to change. If you want them to take a leap of faith, help them see what that leap looks like. When people are unsure of what steps to take, they will often stay frozen in place, stuck in the inertia of inaction. But when you speak with clarity and purpose, you provide them with a roadmap, a clear direction that they can follow. And that's when they are empowered to move forward. Another crucial element of speaking with purpose is knowing that people act out of their own self-interest. Everyone has their own desires, their own goals, and their own reasons for wanting to make a change. To move them into action, you must connect with what matters most to them. This means understanding what's in it for them. It's not enough to talk about what you want them to do. You need to show them why it matters, why it will improve their lives, and why taking action is worth the effort. People won't be moved by a message that only benefits you. But when they see how it will benefit them, when they understand how it will help them reach their goals, that's when they will take action. In many ways, speaking with purpose is about tapping into the emotional side of people. Logic alone doesn't move people to act. People act when they are emotionally connected to what is being said. Whether it's a deep sense of urgency, a desire for change, or the excitement of a new possibility, your words must appeal to their emotions. You need to create a sense of excitement, a sense of hope, and a sense of possibility. When people feel inspired, they will take the action that moves them closer to their goals. The key to speaking with purpose is not just delivering a great speech or giving motivational advice. It's about aligning your message with the lives and struggles of the people you are speaking to. It's about making sure that your words are not just empty encouragements, but the kind of message that resonates deeply with others. It's about speaking in a way that ignites a spark of action in their hearts. You want them to leave the conversation, the meeting, or the speech feeling like something has shifted within them. You want them to feel like they can't walk away without doing something, without taking the first step toward the change they've been waiting for. Every time you speak, think about the action you want to inspire. Be intentional with your words. Be purposeful with your message. Don't let your words simply be a string of ideas that people forget as soon as they leave the room. Make sure your message stays with them. Make sure it lingers in their minds, calling them to act. When you do this, you transform every conversation, every speech, every moment into an opportunity for change. But it's not just about speaking to others. Speaking with purpose means that you are also speaking to yourself. You must constantly remind yourself of why you do what you do. You must keep your own sense of purpose strong and unwavering. Because when you speak with purpose, you are not just motivating others, you are reminding yourself of why you're doing this in the first place. Your purpose becomes a source of energy that fuels you to keep going, even when the journey feels difficult. Your words will lose their power if you forget the very purpose that drives them. So every day, make sure that when you speak, you do so with purpose. Speak with clarity, with conviction, and with the understanding that your words can move mountains. Speak with the intention to inspire action, to change lives, and to leave an indelible mark on the world around you. Don't just talk, speak with purpose, and you'll see the change you've been hoping for unfold right before your eyes. Chapter 12. Use silence as a tool to increase respect. Silence is one of the most powerful tools you have at your disposal, yet it's often overlooked. In a world full of constant noise, the ability to use silence strategically can set you apart. Silence isn't just the absence of sound. When used with intention, it has the power to increase your respect, strengthen your influence, and deepen the impact of your message. The art of silence lies in knowing when to speak and when to let the quiet do the talking. It's about giving space for your words to resonate, for your presence to be felt, and for your influence to grow. When people hear you speak, they naturally pay attention. But it's the pauses, the moments of silence, that hold the true power. Silence commands attention because it creates a space for reflection, for understanding, and for anticipation. It's in those pauses that your words take on greater weight. The power of silence comes from its ability to make your communication more intentional, more thoughtful, and more impactful. Consider the people you respect the most. More often than not, they are the ones who know how to hold their ground in silence. They don't feel the need to fill every moment with words. Instead, they allow silence to do the work for them. Whether it's in a conversation or during a speech, these individuals know that the spaces between words can be as meaningful as the words themselves. Silence has a way of making you seem more composed, more confident, and more in control of the situation. When you speak and then allow a moment of quiet, you give people time to process, to reflect, and to absorb the significance of what you've said. Think about a high-stakes negotiation or an important meeting. It's easy to feel the pressure to speak at length, to fill every gap in conversation with your thoughts. But the most powerful negotiators and leaders know the strength of well-timed silence. After you make your point, you can pause. Instead of rushing to fill the silence, you let the other person speak, giving them space to respond. In that moment, you show that you are not desperate for validation or answers. You remain calm, patient, and in control of the conversation. This calmness and poise command respect. People naturally respond to those who don't rush, to those who can take a moment to reflect before acting. Silence is also a powerful tool for creating an aura of mystery. People are drawn to those who don't reveal everything about themselves immediately. When you speak less, people listen more. They start to pay attention to your every word, wondering what you might say next. In this way, silence gives you a subtle power. It creates intrigue, invites curiosity, and draws others toward you. The more you master silence, the more you allow others to be drawn into your world, to become invested in what you have to say, and to respect your ability to control the flow of conversation. Beyond intrigue, silence is an expression of self-confidence. When you are able to speak slowly and with intention, and then allow space for others to think or respond, you show that you are comfortable with yourself. You don't feel the need to dominate the conversation or fill the air with unnecessary chatter. You show that your words are valuable and that they don't need to be rushed or over-explained. Silence is a way of saying, "I know what I'm talking about, and I'm confident in my message." This quiet strength communicates authority and respect, making people take you more seriously. There is a certain wisdom in knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. Silence is an active choice, not a passive absence. It's a deliberate action that communicates your presence in a much more powerful way than words ever could. When you pause before speaking, you show others that you are thoughtful, measured, and deliberate in your actions. You don't let emotions control your speech. You let your calm and composed nature lead. It's a skill that can change the dynamics of any conversation, whether you're discussing a personal issue, negotiating a deal, or even managing a team. The ability to embrace silence and use it strategically increases your respect and influence. Another aspect of silence is its ability to enhance your listening skills. In any conversation, being able to listen actively and without interruption is a sign of respect. When you remain silent and let others speak, you show them that their words are valuable. You make them feel heard and understood. In this way, silence is an invitation for others to express themselves fully. You become someone who listens more than they speak, and that deep listening can foster trust and respect. People feel respected when they know they have the space to share their thoughts without being interrupted or overshadowed by someone else's words. The simple act of listening with intention can strengthen relationships, improve communication, and make others feel valued. In moments of conflict, silence is a tool that can diffuse tension and prevent escalation. Rather than responding immediately in the heat of the moment, stepping back and using silence can give both parties time to cool down, collect their thoughts, and respond more rationally. In heated debates, silence allows you to avoid saying something in anger that you might later regret. It gives you the space to choose your words carefully, with the knowledge that your response will carry far more weight after a moment of silence. This doesn't mean you avoid conflict. It means you handle it with wisdom, patience, and control. By holding back intense moments, you give yourself the power to guide the conversation in a way that reflects strength and respect. The effectiveness of silence also lies in its ability to create a sense of calm and certainty. In the midst of chaos, people often look for stability. Silence provides that. It's a way of asserting control in an environment where many are reacting impulsively. When you maintain your composure and embrace silence in times of uncertainty, you convey that you are grounded and capable of making rational decisions. This not only increases respect, but also instills confidence in others. They begin to trust your judgment, knowing that you won't act recklessly, but will instead take the time to assess the situation before making your move. Silence is a reminder that sometimes less is more. In today's world, where information is constantly being thrown at us, the ability to pause and reflect is a rare and valuable skill. People are constantly speaking, but few are truly listening. Few are allowing the quiet moments to guide their decisions. When you choose to speak with purpose and embrace silence as a tool, you set yourself apart. You move beyond the superficial noise and connect with others on a deeper level. Finally, silence is a powerful way to control your emotions and reactions. In moments where you might feel frustrated, angry, or excited, silence gives you the space to control your impulses. It's in that pause that you regain your strength and perspective. By mastering silence, you are mastering your emotions, your responses, and your ability to lead with clarity. This control doesn't go unnoticed. People respect those who can stay calm in challenging situations, who don't react impulsively, but instead choose their words and actions with intention. When used effectively, silence is an incredibly powerful tool that increases respect, fosters better communication, and enhances your presence. It's not about saying less, it's about saying more with fewer words. In a world that values constant talking, the person who knows when to remain silent and when to speak has the advantage. Silence isn't just the absence of noise, it's the presence of power, wisdom, and control. And when you learn to use silence strategically, you will find that it is one of the most influential tools at your disposal. Chapter 13. Respect every voice without shrinking your own power. Every voice has power. The sound of someone's words carries weight, but it's easy to forget that your voice is just as significant, just as capable of making a lasting impact. The key is to respect others' voices, but never at the expense of your own. Too often, people shrink their presence when they are in the presence of others who speak with authority. They allow themselves to fade into the background, believing that to respect someone else's voice, they must diminish their own. This is a dangerous trap. To truly respect others, you must maintain the strength of your own voice. Respecting every voice around you doesn't mean silencing yours. In fact, it's the opposite. True respect comes from acknowledging the worth of others' opinions, experiences, and contributions, while still recognizing that your perspective holds value too. You don't need to shout louder, but you must speak with purpose, confidence, and clarity. No one deserves to dominate the conversation, and no one should shrink away because they feel their voice isn't as important. The strength of your voice doesn't diminish anyone else's. Rather, it helps elevate the conversation, deepens understanding, and brings balance to the dialogue. To respect others' voices while maintaining the power of your own requires balance and self-assurance. It starts with understanding that every voice, including your own, has a unique perspective to offer. You don't have to agree with everyone, but you can honor their right to express themselves. By doing so, you also demonstrate the power of your own words, words that are grounded in self-respect and strength. When you respect others' voices without shrinking your own, you create an environment where communication is not about competition, but about collaboration. Everyone's ideas matter, and the collective wisdom that emerges when all voices are heard is where true innovation and progress happen. Respecting another person's voice means listening actively. When someone speaks, Don't just wait for your turn to talk, truly listen to what they are saying. This kind of listening communicates that you value their words. But here's the key: listening does not mean deferring your voice. It does not mean hiding your thoughts out of fear of disagreement or confrontation. It simply means you listen, absorb, and then respond thoughtfully. Your voice still matters, even when you are listening. You are not required to agree with everything someone says, but you are required to acknowledge that they have a valid perspective. Respecting another person's voice means accepting that their experiences, opinions, and feelings have value. At the same time, you must not shrink from asserting your own perspective. You can challenge someone's ideas without belittling their voice. You can offer a different viewpoint without undermining their right to share theirs. This is the essence of mutual respect. You respect them by listening, and you respect yourself by speaking with conviction. In any environment, whether in the workplace, in relationships, or in a group of friends, the most powerful individuals are those who speak confidently without belittling others. They are the ones who maintain their strength while giving space for others to share. They know that their voice is just as important as anyone else's, but they also understand that others' voices have value too. It's this balance that makes them influential. People gravitate toward those who can lead with respect and confidence. People respect those who know when to speak up and when to listen, those who don't feel threatened by others' ideas, and who aren't afraid to put forth their own. When you respect the voices of others, you become someone who can truly create change. Think about the leaders you admire. The best ones know how to listen. They don't silence others to make space for their own ideas. Instead, they invite multiple voices into the conversation, understanding that the collective wisdom will always be greater than any one voice alone. These leaders don't fear the strength of others' voices, they embrace it, and by doing so, they foster an environment of trust and collaboration, where everyone feels heard and valued. In your own life, adopting this mindset can transform your relationships and your influence. Whether in your career, with your friends, or in your family, you have the power to elevate every conversation by simply respecting the voices around you while never backing down from speaking your truth. Your ideas are worth sharing. Your thoughts are valid, and they should be expressed confidently. This doesn't mean dominating the conversation or demanding attention. It means knowing that your voice holds power and that it deserves to be heard alongside the others. We live in a society that sometimes rewards loudness and aggressiveness, but true strength is shown in quiet confidence. You don't need to be the loudest voice in the room to be heard. In fact, often the most powerful voices are those that are calm, composed, and clear. This is the essence of respecting other voices while maintaining your own power. It's about knowing when to speak and when to listen, and most importantly, never letting the noise around you drown out your truth. When you respect others and their voices, you create an environment where everyone feels free to speak their mind. But this freedom doesn't come at the cost of your own voice. It's important to remember that the more you respect the voices around you, the more you will encourage others to listen to you. When you give respect, you earn it. And when you speak with authority and clarity, you invite others to listen with the same level of respect. However, respecting other voices doesn't mean sacrificing your own power to avoid conflict. It means recognizing that true respect is reciprocal. To respect someone else's opinion doesn't require you to silence your own. It requires you to speak with conviction, to share your perspective honestly, and to create an atmosphere where both your voice and theirs can coexist without diminishing each other. When you speak with purpose and clarity, others will be more inclined to respect your ideas because they'll recognize that you respect theirs. In moments of disagreement, This principle is especially important. It's easy to shrink back when faced with opposition, but when you respect another person's voice, you recognize that their ideas don't threaten your own. They simply offer a different perspective. By embracing this, you can engage in respectful debates and discussions where the focus is not on proving who is right or wrong, but on understanding each other's viewpoints. It's a powerful skill that allows you to build stronger relationships, to grow from feedback, and to become a more persuasive communicator. Your voice is a reflection of your inner strength, and when you respect the voices of others, you only amplify that strength. Your power doesn't diminish because someone else shares an opinion. It grows. It grows because when you respect others, you create a space for them to respect you in return. This is not just about speaking louder or more often. It's about speaking with intention, purpose, and respect for both yourself and others. In conclusion, the most powerful communicators are those who speak with respect for themselves and for others. When you respect every voice, you create an environment where ideas can flourish, relationships can strengthen, and true collaboration can take place. And by speaking with your own voice, strong, clear, and confident, you ensure that you are never silenced, never diminished, and always present in the conversation. Respect for every voice doesn't mean shrinking yours. It means allowing both your voice and others to be heard equally, in a space where respect, trust, and collaboration lead to greater understanding and progress. Chapter 14. Adapt your words to match who you're leading. Words have the power to move mountains, but only when they are adapted to the person or group you're leading. Leadership is about understanding your audience, recognizing where they are in their journey, and adjusting your message to speak directly to their needs, fears, and aspirations. It's not about delivering the same speech or message to everyone. It's about shaping your words in a way that resonates, motivates, and guides each individual toward action. To lead effectively, you must first understand that your words are tools. They are not a one-size-fits-all commodity. Different people require different approaches. A leader who speaks only in broad generalities will fail to reach those who need a more personal, tailored message. The great leaders know how to adapt their words, to speak the language of their audience, and to connect with them on a deeper level. One of the most powerful abilities you can develop as a leader is the skill of speaking to the hearts and minds of those you are leading. This isn't about manipulation or using words to control others. It's about meeting them where they are and guiding them toward growth and action. A good leader understands the challenges their team faces, the dreams they hold, and the obstacles that stand in their way. And they speak directly to those challenges, dreams, and obstacles. They know when to use encouragement and when to challenge, when to be inspiring, and when to be practical. Think about the best leaders you've encountered in your life, the ones who moved you to take action, the ones who made you believe in yourself more than you ever thought possible. They didn't just speak in generic terms, they adapted their message. They knew how to connect with you. They could read the room, understand what was needed, and deliver their message in a way that felt personal and impactful. They understood that leadership isn't about delivering the same message to everyone. It's about tailoring your approach to the person, the situation, and the context. In any leadership role, whether in business, sports, or personal relationships, the key to successful communication lies in your ability to read and adapt to the people around you. Not everyone responds to the same approach. Some people need a firm, direct style of communication. Others respond better to encouragement and empathy. The skill of adapting your words to match the person or group you're leading requires emotional intelligence, flexibility, and a deep understanding of human nature. Adapting your words doesn't mean changing your core beliefs or values. It means delivering your message in a way that fits the context of the situation. The message doesn't change, but the delivery method does. In some cases, you might need to be blunt and assertive, while in others, you may need to soften your tone and offer more guidance. The key is knowing when to switch between these styles and how to adapt your language so it reaches the hearts of those you're leading. One of the first things you must understand as a leader is that you're speaking to real people, each with their own personalities, backgrounds, and experiences. If you try to communicate with them all the same way, you'll miss the opportunity to truly connect. For example, a group of seasoned professionals may appreciate a more direct, results-oriented approach, while a group of young, inexperienced individuals may need more guidance, encouragement, and motivation. Tailoring your words to match the situation is the key to effective communication and leadership. There are different ways to adapt your words depending on who you are leading. When you're leading a team of professionals, you might need to be more strategic, outlining goals, expectations, and the steps necessary to achieve them. In contrast, when leading a group of people who are new to the field, you'll want to break things down more simply, using language that is encouraging and clear. Your words should be motivating, and they should convey a sense of belief in their ability to succeed. By adapting your language, you help build their confidence and provide them with a clear sense of direction. A leader who truly understands the importance of adapting their words also knows that different situations require different tones. When the team is facing a challenge, a leader may need to use strong, assertive language to convey urgency and the importance of taking action. However, during times of reflection or personal growth, the leader might switch to a more empathetic, understanding tone to guide the team through the emotional landscape of the situation. Both approaches are equally important, but the leader must be able to recognize which approach will resonate most in the moment. Adaptation of language isn't just about tone, it's also about context. If you are dealing with a high-stakes situation where quick decision-making is critical, your words need to be clear and concise. Your team needs to understand exactly what needs to be done without hesitation. On the other hand, when working with a team that is in the process of brainstorming or creating, you can afford to be more open-ended, using language that invites exploration, discussion, and innovation. It's about knowing the moment and how to use your words to match the emotional and practical needs of the situation. One of the most crucial aspects of adapting your words as a leader is understanding how people learn and respond. Some people need to hear things multiple times before they truly understand. Others respond better to hands-on learning and experience. As a leader, it's important to adapt not only your words but also your methods of communication. Some team members may need written instructions, while others may prefer verbal explanations or visual demonstrations. By being flexible and aware of these different preferences, you can communicate more effectively and ensure that your message is heard loud and clear. The power of words as a leader extends far beyond just giving orders or making speeches. Leadership language shapes culture. The words you use can create an environment of trust, respect, and cooperation. They can foster innovation or instill a sense of discipline. The right words can inspire a team to push through challenges, take risks, and achieve the impossible. And the wrong words can create confusion, doubt, and fear. As a leader, you have a responsibility to be mindful of your language and how it shapes the world around you. When you speak with clarity and purpose, you help others see the bigger picture. When you adapt your words to match the person or group you're leading, You ensure that your message is received and understood. But it doesn't stop there. Leadership is about creating a sense of unity and shared purpose. Your words should bring people together, not push them apart. By tailoring your communication to match the needs of your audience, you create an environment where people feel heard, valued, and understood. And when people feel understood, they are more likely to follow your lead. This principle of adapting your words also extends to moments of conflict or disagreement. A great leader knows how to navigate these difficult conversations with skill and sensitivity. In these moments, it's crucial to listen, to acknowledge the other person's perspective, and to respond in a way that is both respectful and firm. The ability to adapt your words in these situations can turn a potential conflict into an opportunity for growth and collaboration. It's in these moments that your leadership is truly tested. To be a great leader, you must first master the art of communication. And part of that art is knowing when and how to adapt your words to the needs of those around you. It's about understanding that leadership is not about forcing your ideas onto others, but about speaking in a way that connects with the hearts and minds of the people you are leading. When you learn how to adapt your words, you'll become a more effective, influential, and inspiring leader, capable of guiding others toward greatness. By adapting your words, you not only become a better leader, but you also empower those around you to reach their full potential. Your ability to tailor your message to the people you're leading creates a dynamic where both you and your team can thrive. Leadership isn't just about telling people what to do, it's about inspiring them to take action, to grow, and to believe in themselves. When you speak to them in a way that resonates, you give them the tools they need to succeed, and that's the essence of powerful leadership. Chapter 15. Own your message and stop seeking outside approval. The moment you stop seeking approval from others and begin to own your message, you unlock the true power within yourself. Too many people spend their lives waiting for someone else's validation before they act, before they speak, or before they make a move. The truth is, you will never find the freedom and strength you're seeking as long as you're dependent on outside approval. When you own your message, you are in full control of your narrative, your purpose, and your path forward. The first step in owning your message is understanding that it is yours and yours alone. It is a reflection of your thoughts, your beliefs, and your experiences. No one else can speak your truth as you can, and the moment you realize that your voice is valid, powerful, and necessary, everything changes. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop worrying about whether others will approve of what you say or how you say it. The only thing that matters is that your message is aligned with your values and your mission. When you stop seeking approval, you start speaking from a place of inner conviction, and that kind of authenticity resonates with others far more than anything you could say to appease them. The world is full of distractions and opinions. Every day we are bombarded with messages telling us what we should think, what we should wear, what we should say, and how we should behave. These external voices can be loud and persuasive, often leading us to question our own instincts and truths. But when you stop looking for external validation, you begin to trust yourself more. You begin to trust your own voice, your own vision, and your own sense of purpose. The moment you start owning your message, you step into your power. You stop waiting for permission, and you stop playing small. Instead of being influenced by the opinions of others, you take full responsibility for your actions, your words, and your choices. This shift in mindset is essential if you want to become a true leader, a person who inspires others through their actions, words, and integrity. People are drawn to authenticity. They are drawn to people who are unapologetically themselves, who stand firm in their beliefs, and who speak from the heart. When you own your message, you create a presence that commands respect, trust, and admiration. You don't need to explain yourself or justify your actions because your words and actions speak for themselves. The power of owning your message is that it allows you to live and speak without fear, without hesitation, and without seeking anyone's approval. But owning your message doesn't mean being reckless or inconsiderate. It means being clear on who you are, what you stand for, and what you're willing to fight for. It means being unapologetically yourself in a world that often tries to push conformity. It means standing firm in your beliefs, even when others disagree. When you stop seeking outside approval, you start to make decisions based on your internal compass instead of the ever-changing opinions of the world. And that is when you begin to live life on your terms. Now, this doesn't mean you should dismiss feedback altogether. Constructive criticism can be incredibly valuable when it's given in the spirit of growth and improvement. But there is a big difference between receiving feedback and constantly seeking approval. Seeking approval is a sign of insecurity and a lack of confidence. It means you are looking to others to define your worth and direction. On the other hand, feedback is a tool for refinement. It's about taking in information, considering it, and making decisions that are aligned with your true self, not with the desire to please everyone else. As you begin to own your message, you will encounter resistance. People will criticize you, question your decisions, and tell you that you're wrong. And while it's tempting to seek their approval or to conform to their expectations, the key is to stay true to yourself and your purpose. Remember, if you try to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one. The people who are truly meant to be a part of your journey will be drawn to your authenticity and conviction. Those who criticize you from a place of judgment or misunderstanding are not your audience. Don't waste your energy seeking approval from those who will never understand or appreciate your message. One of the most powerful aspects of owning your message is that it allows you to lead with confidence and clarity. When you speak with conviction, people listen. When you act with purpose, people follow. You don't need to seek validation from others because your message stands on its own. It's solid, it's real, it's backed by your experiences, your values, and your commitment to something greater than yourself. When you stop seeking outside approval, you start to radiate self-assurance, and that energy is magnetic. People will be drawn to you because they recognize your confidence, your authenticity, and your willingness to stand up for what you believe in. So many people live their lives in a constant state of doubt and indecision, always questioning whether they are doing the right thing, saying the right words, or making the right choices. This self-doubt often stems from the desire to seek approval. But the truth is, if you are always looking for approval, you will never find peace. You will always be at the mercy of others' opinions, and that's no way to live. True freedom comes when you stop seeking approval and start trusting your own instincts. When you start making decisions based on what feels right to you, and not based on what others think, you open yourself up to limitless possibilities. The journey to owning your message is a journey of self-discovery. It's about understanding who you are at the core and what drives you. It's about becoming clear on your values, your beliefs, and your purpose. The more you understand yourself, the more you can trust yourself. And when you trust yourself, you can step into your full potential without fear or hesitation. You can speak your truth with power, knowing that it is enough just as it is. When you own your message, you become an unstoppable force. You stop worrying about fitting into others' expectations or trying to gain their approval. Instead, you focus on delivering your message in a way that aligns with your truth and your purpose. You stop waiting for someone else's permission, and you start taking bold, decisive actions. And that is when you begin to create the life and impact you were always meant to create. Own your message. Stop seeking validation. Trust yourself. Speak from your heart. And watch as the world responds to the authenticity, power, and conviction you bring into everything you do. When you begin to own your message, you will find the freedom and strength you've been searching for. And in that freedom, you will find the ability to create change, inspire others, and lead with purpose. Don't wait for anyone's approval. Own your truth, and let it lead you to greatness. Chapter 16. Speak about solutions, not problems, to lead forward. Greatness lies in the way you face challenges. It's not about focusing on the obstacles in your path, but about finding the solutions that lead you to the other side. The world is full of problems. There will always be setbacks, challenges, and situations that seem overwhelming. But as a leader, your job is not to dwell on these issues. Your power comes from your ability to look beyond the problems and focus on what can be done to move forward. When you speak about solutions, you not only take control of your own life, but you also inspire others to rise up and do the same. It's easy to get caught up in the cycle of talking about problems. We are surrounded by negativity and struggle, and it can sometimes feel like it's impossible to escape. But leaders who change the world are not those who keep complaining about what isn't working. They are the ones who identify the problem, yes, but then immediately shift their focus to what can be done to fix it. They don't waste time or energy in frustration. Instead, they channel their thoughts and words into finding solutions, empowering those around them to take action. The truth is, when you focus on problems, you give them power. Problems can grow and expand, and the more attention you give them, the bigger they seem. But when you start speaking about solutions, you immediately begin to shift your energy. You stop giving power to the obstacle, and instead, you give power to the action needed to overcome it. This shift is not just mental, it's also emotional and energetic. Speaking about solutions elevates your mindset and makes you feel more in control of the situation. As a leader, your words are like a compass for your team, your family, or your peers. The language you use determines the direction everyone around you will follow. If you spend all your time talking about problems, it becomes easy to feel stuck. It's a heavy and draining place to be. But when you choose to focus on solutions, you provide a roadmap out of the mess. You offer clarity and hope. People are naturally drawn to those who offer solutions because, at the end of the day, everyone wants to know how to move forward. It's not that problems should be ignored or brushed aside. Acknowledging challenges is essential to finding solutions. In fact, recognizing a problem is the first step in addressing it. But the difference is in how you speak about it. The moment you identify a problem, your next words should be about what you can do to fix it. Leaders don't stay in the problem, they move through it. They acknowledge the challenge, then immediately move toward the solution with confidence and determination. This is what separates those who stay stuck from those who break through. One of the keys to speaking about solutions is to be solution-oriented in your thinking. This requires a mindset shift that doesn't allow you to get bogged down in the difficulties. It's easy to say, "This is impossible," but that's not the language of a leader. The leader's language says, "This is tough, but I will find a way." The leader's language says, "We will solve this together." The leader's language focuses on the how, instead of the why not. That's the language that propels forward momentum. When you speak about solutions, you also invite others into the process. People want to be part of something bigger than themselves. They want to know that their contribution matters and that they can make a difference. When you focus on solutions, you empower others to act. Instead of fostering a culture of helplessness, you create an environment of collaboration and problem solving. You invite everyone to think critically, creatively, and proactively. This doesn't mean you have all the answers, but it does mean you are willing to lead the charge toward finding them. And when you do this, you inspire others to take ownership and responsibility for the solutions. The key to speaking about solutions, though, is not just in identifying what can be done, it's in framing those solutions in a positive, forward-thinking way. If your solutions are framed with uncertainty or negativity, they won't inspire action. You can't simply say, "Well, we need to try something, but I'm not sure it will work." That's not a solution. That's just a half-hearted attempt at fixing the problem. But when you speak about solutions with confidence and belief, you communicate that the challenge is surmountable. You create a vision of what's possible, and you lead others to believe in that vision. You must also remember that speaking about solutions doesn't always mean offering immediate fixes. Some problems take time to solve. Some solutions require a process, a strategy, or a series of small steps. But even in those cases, the solution-oriented language is still about the journey forward, not staying stuck in the problem. The focus should always be on what can be done today, what can be done now, and how you can keep moving forward, despite the setbacks. You don't let the time it takes to solve a problem diminish the importance of taking action in the right direction. A huge part of speaking about solutions is in the language of possibility. When you speak in terms of "we can," "we will," and "let's do this," you create a sense of shared purpose. Your words begin to generate hope and excitement in others. You create a culture of possibility where people believe that they too can contribute to solving the problem at hand. In these moments, it becomes clear that problems aren't roadblocks. They are opportunities to grow, improve, and work together as a team. This is where leadership really shines. It's easy to complain when things go wrong, but leaders know that complaining is never a strategy. Complaining doesn't solve anything. It only adds to the weight of the problem. Speaking about solutions, on the other hand, is an action-oriented approach. It says, "We are going to figure this out. We are going to move forward." This doesn't just apply to work or business. It applies to every area of life. Whether in your personal relationships, your health, or your finances, the moment you shift your language from focusing on the problem to focusing on the solution, you immediately change your course. The language of solutions is rooted in optimism, in the belief that no matter how difficult the challenge, there is always a way forward. It's the mindset that says, "I will find a way, even if it takes time." Leaders who speak this way inspire confidence, resilience, and creativity in others. They teach those around them that obstacles are not the end, they are simply a challenge to be overcome. So what does it take to speak about solutions in a way that moves people into action? It starts with mindset. You have to truly believe that every problem has a solution, even if it takes time, effort, and creativity to find it. From that belief comes the language you use, language that is empowering, encouraging, and inspiring. It's about speaking with conviction that things will improve, and that every person has a role to play in the solution. It's about leading by example, staying focused on what can be done, and inspiring others to follow suit. The moment you speak about solutions is the moment you take back control. You stop being a passive observer of the problem and start becoming an active participant in its resolution. You stop letting challenges define you, and instead, you define how you respond to them. When you speak about solutions, you transform from someone who simply reacts to problems into someone who proactively creates the future they want to see. This is what great leaders do, and this is how they inspire those around them to achieve incredible things. Chapter 17. Talk with clarity even when under intense pressure. In the face of pressure, true clarity shines brightest. When chaos surrounds you and expectations mount, the ability to speak clearly and purposefully becomes your greatest asset. It's not just about having the right words. It's about maintaining a calm, steady voice that commands respect, instills confidence, and guides others toward action, no matter how intense the situation. This ability to speak with clarity under pressure isn't just a skill, it's a power that can change the course of any conversation, meeting, or crisis. When you're under pressure, the natural instinct is often to rush, to blur your thoughts, to speak just to get through the moment. But real leaders understand that the most effective words are those that come from a place of calm, focus, and clarity. Pressure might force us into a heightened emotional state, but how we communicate in these moments defines us. It's in these moments that our true leadership is tested. Can you speak with conviction, even when the stakes are high? Can you deliver your message, not only to be heard, but to be understood? Can you maintain control of the situation, not just with your actions, but through your words? When you find yourself under pressure, the first thing to remember is that clarity is not a byproduct of quick thinking. It's a byproduct of calmness. To speak clearly, you must first manage your emotions. If your thoughts are scattered and your heart is racing, your words will mirror that chaos. You can't allow the pressure to control you. Instead, take a breath. Slow down. You're not in a race. Speaking with clarity comes from a place of control and focus, not haste. By taking a moment to collect your thoughts, you allow yourself to deliver your message with precision and confidence. Speaking with clarity under pressure also requires structure. When emotions are running high, it's easy to get lost in a sea of words. But the most powerful communicators know that less is often more. They focus on delivering their message in a way that cuts through the noise. Rather than overwhelming the listener with excessive details, they get to the point, sticking to the key message that needs to be conveyed. This is where structure becomes your ally. When you know exactly what you want to say and how you want to say it, the pressure becomes less of an obstacle and more of an opportunity to show your mastery. A big part of clear communication is the ability to prioritize. When under pressure, you are faced with an abundance of information, all demanding attention. The challenge is to filter out the noise and focus on what truly matters. This is where clarity becomes even more important. You have to decide what's crucial in the moment and what's irrelevant. By doing so, you ensure that the conversation doesn't get lost in unnecessary details. You stay focused, and as a result, your message comes through loud and clear. When you speak under pressure, people are listening for your composure. Your ability to stay calm, cool, and collected sends a message of control and confidence. It shows that you are not only in charge of the situation, but you are also in charge of yourself. When you speak clearly under pressure, others can sense your strength. They see someone who has the clarity to see the bigger picture, someone who can lead them through the storm. It inspires confidence in others, which is essential when navigating high-pressure situations. It's easy for people to panic when everything feels uncertain, but clear, composed speech can serve as an anchor for those around you. Your voice becomes a tool of influence when you speak with clarity under pressure. It's not just about the content of your words, it's about the confidence you exude when delivering them. The power of your message is amplified when it's conveyed with certainty. People trust leaders who speak with clarity because it signals that they know what they are doing. In times of uncertainty, the person who communicates with purpose and conviction stands out. You can become the voice that others turn to for direction and reassurance. Clear communication, however, doesn't mean being rigid or cold. It's about delivering your message in a way that connects with your audience. Even under pressure, it's possible to speak with empathy and understanding. When people are feeling the weight of a situation, they are looking for more than just a solution. They're looking for a leader who understands what they're going through. When you speak with clarity, but also with heart, you create a deeper connection. Your words become not just instructions, but inspiration. One of the keys to speaking with clarity under pressure is removing distractions. It's easy to become overwhelmed by external factors, the ticking clock, the voices in the background, the multiple tasks at hand. But when you focus only on the immediate goal, your message, you eliminate these distractions. You don't let the environment dictate your tone or content. You remain rooted in the clarity of your purpose. This doesn't mean you ignore the challenges around you. It means that you choose to stay focused on what matters most, and you do it with intent. It's also crucial to be prepared. While clarity in the moment is critical, preparation allows you to think on your feet and respond effectively. Leaders who speak clearly under pressure don't just react, they anticipate. They know that pressure will come, and they arm themselves with the knowledge and understanding to handle it. Preparation doesn't eliminate stress, but it does provide a roadmap for navigating through it. When you know your material, when you've thought through potential challenges, when you've rehearsed what you want to say, you're able to deliver your message with confidence. This preparation gives you the clarity needed to respond thoughtfully, even in the most intense situations. To maintain clarity under pressure, it's essential to stay focused on the outcome. What are you trying to achieve with your words? Is it to calm a room? Is it to lead a team to action? Is it to resolve conflict? Understanding your goal allows you to speak with purpose. When your focus is clear, your words will follow suit. You won't be distracted by irrelevant details or emotional turmoil. You'll stay on track, delivering your message in a way that moves the conversation toward the desired outcome. Sometimes, speaking with clarity under pressure is about silence. It's knowing when to pause, when to take a breath, and when to give others a moment to process what's being said. Silence can be an incredibly powerful tool in communication. It allows you to collect your thoughts, but it also gives others the time to reflect on your words. In a tense situation, silence can provide space for understanding and clarity to emerge. It's a reminder that you don't always have to speak to make an impact. Sometimes, it's about letting your words breathe, letting your message settle in before continuing. As you develop this skill, it's important to remember that clarity doesn't mean perfection. It's not about avoiding mistakes or never stuttering. It's about staying calm enough to gather your thoughts, staying present enough to communicate with purpose, and staying composed enough to lead effectively. You'll make mistakes along the way, and that's okay. What matters is how you recover and keep going. Even in the midst of pressure, a leader who can speak clearly and calmly, who can gather their thoughts and continue moving forward, commands respect. In conclusion, speaking with clarity under pressure is a skill that requires both inner calm and outer focus. It's the ability to gather your thoughts in moments of chaos, to cut through the noise with precision, and to deliver a message that inspires confidence and action. This skill is essential for anyone who wants to lead effectively, especially when the stakes are high. When you speak clearly under pressure, you don't just guide the conversation, you guide the outcome, you set the tone for what comes next. So when the pressure mounts, remember that your words are your power. Use them wisely, use them with clarity, and watch how they can transform any situation. Chapter 18. Speak to elevate others, not just prove yourself. The true measure of your words is not in how they reflect your own greatness, but in how they elevate those around you. Every time you speak, you have the opportunity to inspire, encourage, and empower others. When you shift your focus from simply proving yourself to lifting others, you create an atmosphere of growth and mutual respect that fosters collaboration and collective achievement. This mindset transforms not just your communication style, but also your relationships, your leadership, and the impact you leave on the world. Far too often, people speak to impress or to prove their worth. They feel the need to show how much they know, how much they've achieved, or how much they can command attention. But the most effective communicators, whether in the workplace, at home, or in any other aspect of life, understand that the power of their words lies in their ability to empower others. When you speak with the intention of lifting others, your words become vehicles for change. They encourage others to rise to their potential, to believe in their own abilities, and to take action toward their goals. To speak with the intention of elevating others, the first step is to genuinely believe in their potential. This belief comes from a place of respect and understanding. It means recognizing that everyone has strengths, talents, and contributions to make, regardless of their current circumstances. When you recognize and acknowledge the value in others, your words naturally reflect that belief. You stop seeing them as competitors or obstacles, but as collaborators with untapped potential. Your words become a tool for uncovering that potential, for encouraging them to step into their own power. Speaking to elevate others requires a shift in perspective. It's not about looking for ways to shine a spotlight on your own accomplishments or abilities. It's about finding ways to shine that light on the strengths of others. This mindset is especially powerful in leadership. As a leader, your role isn't just to prove your worth, it's to help others discover theirs. The greatest leaders don't seek validation from their followers. Instead, they empower their followers to step into their own greatness, often by using words that encourage, affirm, and guide. One of the most important aspects of speaking to elevate others is active listening. You can't lift someone up if you don't understand where they're coming from or what they need. Listening is the key to unlocking the potential in others. When you truly listen to someone, you not only hear their words, but also understand their aspirations, challenges, and concerns. This understanding allows you to speak to their needs, to offer solutions that are tailored to their unique circumstances, and to provide encouragement that resonates with them on a personal level. Listening also creates a deeper connection between you and the person you're speaking with. It shows that you value their perspective, that you see them as more than just a means to an end. In a world where people often feel unheard or unseen, the simple act of listening can be incredibly powerful. When you listen with empathy and understanding, your words become a bridge between you and others, and that bridge is built on trust, respect, and mutual growth. Another key aspect of speaking to elevate others is offering praise and recognition. People often underestimate the power of a kind word or a thoughtful compliment. Acknowledging someone's efforts or achievements, no matter how small, can have a profound impact on their confidence and motivation. When you take the time to recognize others for their hard work, their dedication, or their progress, you reinforce their sense of self-worth. You show them that their contributions matter, that they are seen, and that they are valued. But speaking to elevate others isn't just about offering praise when things go well. It's about offering encouragement when things don't go as planned. Everyone experiences setbacks, failures, and challenges. It's in these moments that your words can make the biggest difference. Instead of offering judgment or criticism, speak words of encouragement that help them bounce back. Remind them of their strengths, their past successes, and their ability to overcome obstacles. Help them see failure as a learning opportunity rather than a setback, and encourage them to keep moving forward with resilience and determination. Moreover, speaking to elevate others means creating an environment where people feel safe to express themselves without fear of judgment or ridicule. In a culture of fear or insecurity, people are less likely to speak up, share their ideas, or take risks. But when you create a space where people feel supported, valued, and encouraged, they are more likely to engage, to contribute, and to grow. Your words can help create this safe space by offering reassurance, support, and positive reinforcement. When people feel safe to be themselves, they are more likely to thrive. When you speak to elevate others, you also take responsibility for the impact of your words. Every time you open your mouth, your words have the power to shape someone's day, their mindset, and even their future. You can either lift them up or bring them down. The words you choose matter. They can either affirm someone's worth or undermine their confidence. They can either inspire someone to take action or cause them to second-guess themselves. This is why speaking to elevate others requires intentionality. You must choose your words with care, understanding that they can either make a positive impact or cause harm. Speaking to elevate others also requires vulnerability. It's not always easy to put someone else's needs ahead of your own, especially when you're dealing with your own challenges. But when you make the conscious decision to speak in a way that elevates others, you open yourself up to deeper connections and more meaningful relationships. Vulnerability is the key to authenticity, and authenticity is the foundation of trust. When you speak to elevate others, you show them that you care about their success and well-being, and this deepens the bond between you. Your words should inspire others to take action. When you speak to elevate others, you don't just leave them with a sense of encouragement, you also provide them with the tools, resources, or guidance they need to take the next step. Speak in a way that empowers them to act, to move forward, and to take ownership of their own growth. Give them the confidence to pursue their dreams, to face their challenges, and to make decisions that align with their values and goals. The true power of your words is not just in how they make people feel in the moment, but in how they motivate people to take positive action in the future. Lastly, speaking to elevate others means recognizing the potential in every person you meet. You never know how a single word of encouragement can change someone's life. You never know how a simple act of kindness can inspire someone to keep going when they're on the verge of giving up. When you speak to elevate others, you become a catalyst for change. You have the power to transform someone's mindset, to shift their perspective, and to help them see what they are truly capable of. This is the power of speaking with purpose. In the end, speaking to elevate others isn't about diminishing yourself or seeking validation from others. It's about creating an environment where everyone has the opportunity to grow, to succeed, and to reach their fullest potential. It's about recognizing that true greatness comes not from putting others down, but from lifting them up. When you speak with this mindset, you not only become a source of inspiration for others, but you also create a ripple effect that can transform communities, workplaces, and even entire industries. Speak to elevate others, and watch as you change the world one word at a time. Chapter 19. Practice daily to sharpen your leadership communication fast. Leadership is not something you are born with, it's something you can sharpen and perfect every day with consistent practice. The power of leadership communication lies in your ability to connect with people, convey your message clearly, and inspire action. It's about more than just speaking well, it's about influencing others in a way that drives progress, fosters collaboration, and brings your vision to life. To sharpen this skill, you must practice daily. There are no shortcuts, no magic formula that will instantly make you a great communicator. Only through deliberate, focused practice will you master the art of leadership communication. Think about any great leader in history, whether political, business, or cultural. The most successful among them were able to communicate their message in ways that resonated deeply with others. They knew how to inspire, challenge, and move people to act. They understood the power of words, the impact of tone, and the significance of timing. Great communication in leadership is not just about articulating ideas, but about creating a shared vision that others are willing to follow. This doesn't happen by accident. It happens through consistent, focused practice. When you practice leadership communication every day, you begin to understand the nuances of what makes communication effective. You start to recognize that leadership isn't just about issuing commands or making speeches. It's about understanding your audience, knowing their needs, and crafting your message in a way that motivates, empowers, and aligns with their goals. You learn to communicate with clarity and confidence, but also with empathy and understanding. This is where true leadership begins. One of the keys to sharpening your leadership communication is self-awareness. You need to constantly evaluate how your words, actions, and body language are being received by others. Are you getting the results you want? Are people engaged with what you're saying? Do they understand your message, or are you confusing them? By practicing daily, you become more attuned to how you communicate and how it impacts those around you. You start to notice when people are responding positively to your message and when they are tuning out or feeling disconnected. The more you practice, the better you become at reading these cues and adjusting your approach accordingly. Another aspect of practicing leadership communication is becoming an active listener. Communication isn't just about talking, it's equally about listening. When you actively listen, you show respect for others' opinions and ideas, and you create an environment where people feel valued. Leaders who excel at communication know that listening is just as important as speaking. It's through listening that you gather information, identify problems, and understand the concerns of your team. When you listen with intention, you can adjust your message to address the real issues at hand. Your communication becomes more effective because it is rooted in understanding. Effective leaders also know how to tailor their message to different audiences. Not everyone responds to the same type of communication. Some people need details, others need inspiration, and still others need reassurance. A leader who is practicing their communication skills daily learns how to adapt their style to the needs of the situation. This ability to adjust your communication approach is crucial for gaining buy-in, inspiring confidence, and motivating action. One of the fastest ways to improve your leadership communication is to seek feedback regularly. Ask your team, colleagues, or mentors for feedback on your communication style. Are you clear? Are you concise? Do your messages resonate? Are there areas where you could improve? The more you open yourself up to constructive criticism, the more you will grow as a communicator. Don't be afraid of feedback. See it as a tool for growth. Every great leader has been shaped by the feedback of others, and you can only improve if you embrace it. In addition to feedback, practicing communication also means taking the time to learn new communication strategies. There is always room for growth and improvement. Look for opportunities to learn from others who excel in leadership communication, whether it's through books, courses, public speaking events, or simply observing the communication styles of leaders you admire. The more you expose yourself to different styles and techniques, the more you will find new ways to communicate effectively. Leadership communication is a constantly evolving skill that requires ongoing development. You must stay committed to learning and growing if you want to stay ahead. The next component of leadership communication practice is clarity. A leader who communicates with clarity is able to inspire trust and confidence. People will follow you when they understand your vision and know exactly what you expect from them. Clear communication eliminates confusion, sets expectations, and creates a sense of direction. The more you practice speaking clearly and concisely, the better you will get at cutting through the noise and getting your message across in a way that sticks. This doesn't mean you have to speak in simple terms all the time, but it does mean you need to ensure your message is understood and actionable. Being confident in your communication is another trait that comes with consistent practice. Leadership requires the ability to speak with authority and conviction, especially in difficult or high-pressure situations. The more you practice communicating with confidence, the easier it becomes to deliver your message in a way that commands attention. People are more likely to follow a leader who speaks with conviction, even if they don't agree with everything being said. Confidence isn't about arrogance, it's about owning your message and being comfortable with the decisions you're making. It's about projecting trust and inspiring others to trust you as well. The best leaders also understand the power of non-verbal communication. You may be speaking with the right words, but if your body language doesn't match your message, you lose credibility. Daily practice helps you become more aware of your posture, gestures, and facial expressions. Leaders who are aware of their non-verbal cues can use them to reinforce their message and create stronger connections with their audience. Whether it's making eye contact, using hand gestures to emphasize a point, or maintaining an open posture, your non-verbal communication can strengthen the impact of your words. Another area where daily practice makes a difference is in managing emotions. Leadership communication often happens under pressure, and how you communicate in those moments can have a profound effect on the outcome. Whether it's dealing with a difficult situation or addressing a crisis, your ability to remain calm and composed while communicating is critical. Leaders who can communicate effectively under pressure are able to maintain control of the situation and provide guidance when it's needed most. Practice staying calm and focused, even when emotions are running high, and you will find that your ability to communicate with poise and clarity improves. Practice also means finding your authentic voice as a leader. People respond to authenticity. They can tell when you're being genuine, and they can also tell when you're putting on an act. The more you practice speaking from an authentic place, the more powerful and impactful your communication becomes. Leaders who speak from the heart and share their true thoughts and feelings build trust and credibility with their teams. They are able to connect on a deeper level because their words resonate with the values and principles that guide their leadership. Finally, remember that leadership communication isn't just about talking, it's about engaging others in the conversation. The best leaders know how to create an environment where communication flows both ways. They don't just talk at people, they engage with them, ask questions, and encourage open dialogue. This collaborative approach to communication fosters innovation, builds stronger teams, and leads to better outcomes. As a leader, your communication should invite participation, encourage collaboration, and empower those around you to contribute their ideas and perspectives. Sharpening your leadership communication is a continuous journey that requires commitment and practice. By practicing daily, you will develop the skills, confidence, and awareness needed to lead with clarity and purpose. Effective communication is the foundation of great leadership. If you want to be a leader who inspires others, drives change, and makes a lasting impact, you must commit to practicing and honing your communication skills every day. With time, patience, and dedication, you'll find that your ability to lead through communication will not only sharpen, but also transform the way you lead, engage, and inspire others. Chapter 20. Lead every room with quiet power and presence. True leadership is not about dominating the room with loud words or frantic gestures. It's about walking in with quiet power, commanding respect without ever needing to demand it. There's a certain presence that exudes confidence, strength, and calmness, even in the most chaotic of environments. This is the kind of presence that can transform any room, turn an ordinary moment into something memorable, and inspire others to follow without a word being said. When you enter a room, people should feel your energy long before you speak. This is not the kind of power that comes from having the loudest voice or the most assertive personality. It's a power born from deep within, from your ability to stay grounded and composed no matter the circumstances. To lead with quiet power is to control the room with your presence, not your volume. This concept of leading with quiet power begins with self-mastery. The more in control you are of your thoughts, emotions, and actions, the more others will gravitate toward you naturally. The foundation of quiet leadership is built on inner strength, the kind of strength that doesn't need external validation to feel secure. It's the ability to stay calm and composed in high-pressure situations, to think clearly even when emotions are running high, and to make decisions based on reason and wisdom rather than impulse. But this quiet power is not passive. It's not about shrinking back or being quiet for the sake of it. It's about intentionally creating space for yourself in any room, allowing your calm demeanor to speak louder than any words ever could. You are present, you are attentive, and you are fully engaged in the moment. There's a quiet confidence in your body language, in your stillness, in the way you listen more than you speak. It's a presence that commands attention because it radiates self-assurance and respect. The key to this kind of power is knowing yourself, your strengths, weaknesses, and your value. When you understand who you are and what you stand for, you carry that knowledge with you into every room. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. Your presence speaks for itself because it's rooted in authenticity. You're not trying to convince anyone of your worth, you simply know it. This quiet certainty gives you the power to lead without ever needing to assert dominance or force your will on others. People are drawn to this type of leader because it feels safe, it feels real, and it feels grounded. The next step in cultivating this presence is learning to manage your energy. Leadership is as much about energy management as it is about knowledge and strategy. When you walk into a room, your energy is contagious. It can either lift the mood and inspire action, or it can drain the room and create tension. Those who lead with quiet power are intentional about the energy they bring into a space. They are conscious of their tone, their body language, and the words they choose to speak. They don't waste energy on unnecessary drama or distraction. They stay focused and calm, knowing that their presence alone can change the course of any situation. This quiet power also comes from being an exceptional listener. In a world where most people are more interested in talking than listening, a great leader knows how to listen with intention. When you truly listen to others, you give them space to express themselves, and you show them that their voices matter. This builds trust and respect, which are essential components of any leadership dynamic. It's through listening that you can understand the needs and concerns of others, and in doing so, you position yourself as someone who can offer solutions and guidance. A leader with quiet power doesn't need to have all the answers right away. They are comfortable with uncertainty, knowing that clarity will come in time. Instead of rushing to speak or offer solutions, they take the time to observe, reflect, and consider the best course of action. This shows maturity, wisdom, and patience, qualities that are often more powerful than immediate reactions or quick fixes. People respect a leader who takes the time to understand before responding, who demonstrates thoughtfulness over impulsiveness. Another crucial aspect of leading with quiet power is emotional intelligence. The ability to understand and manage your emotions, as well as the emotions of others, is a hallmark of great leadership. When you lead with emotional intelligence, you don't let your emotions control you. Instead, you control them, and you respond to situations with thoughtfulness and consideration. This allows you to remain calm and composed, no matter what challenges come your way. Emotional intelligence gives you the ability to read the room, to sense the needs of others, and to respond with empathy and understanding. It enables you to connect with people on a deeper level, inspiring loyalty and trust. But emotional intelligence isn't just about managing your own emotions, it's about understanding the emotions of others and using that awareness to guide your interactions. When you can read the emotional climate of a room, you know when to step up, when to step back, and how to help others feel heard and valued. This makes your leadership not only effective but deeply meaningful. Leading with quiet power also means being comfortable in silence. Silence is one of the most underrated tools in leadership. It's not about avoiding communication, it's about using silence to create space for others to think, reflect, and contribute. When you lead with quiet power, you don't feel the need to fill every moment with words. Instead, you allow silence to be a tool for clarity and reflection. In meetings, for example, when you leave a pause after a question, it gives others time to think and form their responses. This simple act of allowing space for others to speak shows that you value their input and trust their judgment. Furthermore, being comfortable in silence allows you to stay calm in moments of tension or conflict. Instead of reacting impulsively, you take a moment to gather your thoughts and assess the situation. This pause creates room for thoughtful responses rather than rash reactions. In situations where others might feel the need to raise their voices or escalate a conflict, your quiet presence can be a calming influence. People naturally gravitate toward a leader who can maintain composure and respond with clarity, rather than reacting emotionally. To lead with quiet power, you must also master the art of non-verbal communication. Your body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice can often communicate more than your words ever will. When you exude confidence and calmness through your body language, people notice it. They pay attention to how you carry yourself, how you make eye contact, and how you hold space in a room. This speaks volumes about your ability to lead without saying a word. Great leaders understand that their non-verbal cues have the power to either inspire or undermine trust. When you communicate with intention and mindfulness in everything you do, you reinforce your presence and your authority. Ultimately, leading with quiet power is about mastering the balance between strength and humility. It's about being powerful enough to stand firm in your convictions, but humble enough to listen and learn from others. It's about showing up with confidence, but without arrogance. The most effective leaders understand that power isn't about dominating others, it's about empowering them. When you lead with quiet power, you make others feel stronger, more capable, and more confident in themselves. You give them the space to grow, to express their ideas, and to contribute to the success of the group. As you continue to develop this quiet power, remember that it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, practice, and a willingness to be self-aware and intentional in everything you do. But the more you practice, the more natural it will become. Over time, you will find that your presence commands respect, your voice carries weight, and your leadership inspires others to be their best selves. This is the true essence of leadership, leading with quiet power and presence.